Good morning, everyone. Sorry for being a little bit late. We are currently still waiting for a few panel members to arrive. We don't know what's going on, but we do have several panel members here. So let's get into it. First of all, welcome to this week's Breakfast with Boom. I am your host, MrBooMStickXL. And not only is this panel packed with superstars, but one of the panel members has brought a ton of digital giveaways that are nothing short of absolutely outstanding. The topics on tap might be the best ever I've put together. And in order to start the awesome topics, I have to introduce the panel in what people come to now hope they hear a regular Boomstick intro. So let's start that. First up, making his Breakfast with Boom debut, he is a member of the amazing Coffee Casuals and Consoles and Third Wheel Arcade podcast, proud father of 3 awesome kids, die-hard gamer, electronic enthusiast, and a community member who truly enjoys giving to others. Please welcome Butcher Van, aka Mr. Midlife Crisis.
Wow, thanks for that intro. That was amazing.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
I always like listening to your intros in the morning. They're like a swift kick in the nuts.
Well, I definitely appreciate that. Yeah, listen, though, the whole point of having everyone on the show is to do these intros to get you guys put into the best light possible. And that's what we do. And I'm glad that you're here. You know, before we move on to the other panel members, you know, I just kind of want to talk about the giveaways because, you know, when you and I were going back and forth with DMs, I just wanted you on as a guest because, you know, we've talked and I think you're a really fantastic community member. And I really enjoy showcasing people that are positive community members. And, you know, and when we were talking, you said, yeah, listen, I could be on the 15th. And then you reached out to me, say, listen, I have a bunch of digital giveaways I want to do. Of course, I was blown away. Why don't you tell the folks that are listening early what you're giving away and exactly when that's going to happen?
All right. So here's what we have planned for today for giveaways. We're gonna go all out today, and we're going to be giving away 6 months of Xbox Game Pass and 12 months of Xbox Live in the first hour. And then at the end of the show, closing up the show, we'll be giving away a digital version of Metro Exodus, which came out today. And for the finale, it's going to be the Division 2 Ultimate Edition.
Wow. I mean, folks, listen, I'm no mathematician, but that's a lot of coin that he is donating not only to the show, but to the people that are going to be here in the chat. The hashtag that you're going to have to use is going to be hashtag in all lower caps, Van is the man. And you do that on Twitter, and we're going to be using Tweet Draw to pick the winners. Like Van said, the first half of the show is going to be the Xbox Live and Xbox Game Pass. Midway through the end of the show, it's going to be Metro, and then to close out the show, it's going to be the Division Ultimate Edition, which is absolutely outrageous. But you know what? Let's continue with the intros. Next, we have someone who loves video games, movies, and pop culture, leader of the Sesh Empire, commander of the Black Ops Assassin Unit, and a very opinionated gamer who is not afraid to speak his mind. Xbox Game Pass spokesperson and all-around gaming socialite. Please welcome So Shady.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Boomstick. I got to say, man, those intros, I love them. And as always with your show, man, I am overtired and hyped. I seem to be coming on here after the launch of a big game. And like any gamer, when you're holding sleep in one hand and a hot new title in the other, you got to be playing the game all damn night. And that was me in Crackdown 3. So I can't wait to start talking about that. The rest of the topics, I got to say, wow, did E3 just happen? I don't know what to say, man. This is fantastic. The panel is great. I am totally honored to be sitting here amongst some of the greatest guys in the community, some of the most positive, some of my favorites. Let's get into this, man. I am excited to be here.
Well, listen, it's always a pleasure to have you, dude. You know what? Like I said, I really appreciate you enjoying the topics. I work hard on it on the back end of the show that a lot of people don't know about. And if you're just tuning in, if you look at the headline of the topics, a lot of the stuff people aren't talking about, and that's exactly why you tune into this show each and every week, because you're not going to get the samey that you get on everyone else's show. It's because I respect your time and I want to put out the best product possible. But let's move on to the next guest, and he just rolled in. Hopefully he has his coffee in hand. He is one of the very few game developers I know, someone who single-handedly wins week after week with the best mud trucks gameplay this side of Texas. A gamer with the inside track to information that could normally potentially get anyone else snuffed out, panel member of the next podcast, and official crackdown agency specialist. Please welcome the Don.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, just to point out, there, Butcher Van, it is my birthday. I just want to point that out.
Well, happy birthday, and thanks for being here.
Yeah,
dude.
happy birthday. That's amazing.
Yeah, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Do it whatever you may, audience. Let's get to the topics. So,
You know what? Just because it's your birthday, you'll get Ubisoft's new game, Far Cry New Dawn.
Nice,
Nice.
dude. That's
Dude.
awesome.
I
You'll
appreciate
get that
it.
today.
Nice. Nice. That's awesome, Van. Well, thank you so much for that. Don, happy birthday again. Everyone in the chat, give him a big happy birthday, and not the middle finger, because Don is one of the finest. Look, we are still waiting for 2 panel members, but we're going to keep the show rolling, because guess what? The show waits for no man. So let's move into the first topic. Borderlands 3 or BioShock are likely releasing within the next 12 months. And this story that I pulled from comicbook.com has got my blood pumping. During its quarterly earnings call this week, Take-Two Interactive confirmed that its big secret game coming out of 2K Games is still on schedule to release before the end of March 2020. Now, sadly, I would like to admit I want their game, either one of those games, sooner than later. I would love them to say, yes, 2019, but it sounds like we're probably going to get a March release on either one of those games. Now, so the question is that I'm going to have for the panel, and of course the chat when I get to you guys in a second, what is it? What game could it be? Now, Borderlands 3, we all know, has been talked up to the point of Yeti. Of being called a Yeti, right? It's out there. We just haven't seen it. We've heard different shows. Mr. Pitchford himself has talked about it, and we still don't have a release date. And you know what? I've tweeted at Randy Pitchford myself. Of course, I didn't get a response. Who am I anyway to get one? But at the same time, I really want Borderlands 3. I'm hoping that this game comes sooner or later because, obviously we're all looking forward to it. The longer it stays in the hidden in the bushes, it's going to start becoming irrelevant. Now, let's move the topic over to BioShock. I mean, what could you say? It's been a long time since we had a BioShock game. The last one, the 4th in the series, was fantastic. A lot of people loved it. Some people didn't. People wanted that survival horror-esque feeling that you got with 1 and 2. And to be completely fair and honest, I am okay either way. But I want to get the panel's opinion on this, and I want to go to Van immediately. Hearing this, that we're going to get a new BioShock or potentially a new BioShock and Borderlands 3. Are you excited for either of these games?
Oh man, I enjoyed the first 2 Borderlands, thoroughly enjoyed. They were amazing.
I put hundreds of hours into that.
Oh,
both of them, yes.
They're just so much fun, and they're a different style. It's just it's hard to explain until you actually play the game, how much fun you can actually sink into those games. As far as what game I think it would be first, I think it would be a BioShock first over a Borderlands. But that's just me personally. I think that they were working on BioShock first.
You might be right. You might be absolutely right. And to be honest with you, look, I'm going to say this. BioShock is going to be done by a new team. We know that the original team is not there. And I'm always, as a gamer, I'm 50-50. Like, I'm a little weary because you don't know which direction they're going to go. Are we getting classic BioShock? Are we getting new age BioShock? Are they going to continue the story? Is it a reboot of the original? There's a lot of unanswered questions because, to be honest, we haven't heard much. Now, we've heard more of Borderlands 3. Now, there's been several leaks. There's been class leaks. There's been location leaks. We know it's going to be the cartoon kind of graphics that we all know and love that we've seen because, there's been a total of 3, right? You had Borderlands, you had 1, you had 2, then you had the prequel. I played all of them. I enjoyed all of them. You had recent releases of Borderlands 2 in VR. Right now, we're hearing that Borderlands 1 Game of the Year edition is coming. My thing is this: as great as that is, and I hate to say this, I'm probably going to buy the. Damn it! I'm probably going to buy the Borderlands Game of the Year edition because I'm such a fan, and because you can play that with 4 people, which is amazing, or 3 other people, total of 4. I get frustrated. Shady, my question to you is, can Randy Pitchford and Gearbox Studios count to 3? And when are we going to get this game?
For Borderlands? Borderlands, man, it's one of those games that has just been rumored for so long and almost just kind of felt like a guaranteed thing. I mean, I was expecting it within the first couple of years, 2-3 years of this gen. And you know what I think happened is Destiny and the whole looter shooter that we know today sort of threw a wrench in the works a little bit for them. I bet you that if they were working on one, it was maybe a little bit more standard sequelized, like very what it was. And then Destiny came out and really shook up what the looter shooter kind of is and what is expected of it. So I think Borderlands went back to the drawing board on maybe even more than one occasion. So that one, in my opinion, is actually probably the title that would come out first, just because I think it's been in development for a long time and retooled even maybe. I have no proof, of course, that's just a theory. But BioShock, I think, would be the bigger surprise just because the team is gone. And yeah, that's a big one. The team is gone. So it's completely up to 2K to kind of take up that ball and run with it. I'm not sure that they were going to. So if they do, I'm all over it. BioShock is awesome. I love that type of story. It's kind of dark and has me asking a lot of questions, kind of like what if questions. I just really enjoy that series a lot. Borderlands, for me, I do like the co-op aspect of it, but the humor is hit and miss. And I find that it is just so heavily painted into the game that sometimes it can be a little bit grating if I'm not, jiving with one of the characters. They're just so in your face at times that it can kind of get in the way of my enjoyment of that series. I love the
I agree. So what you're saying is you think that sometimes it can be just a little jarring, if you will.
A little bit. It's kind of like if you're into the comedy, or if like you really enjoy all the characters, man, it fires on all cylinders. But if the comedy isn't always like your bag, then I find it can be just maybe a little bit annoying, even
kind of like an Adam Sandler character
in a way. Like, yeah, exactly. You find those guys.
I like that.
You find those guys that love Adam Sandler, and like he can do no wrong. Like they praise every movie that he's ever been in, every joke, everything. They love him, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just their sense of humor. Whereas if you're not down with that type of comedy, watching one of his movies is a chore. I'm not saying that's what Borderlands is for me, but there is times where some of its delivery just doesn't land where it should. And I did find that when I played 4-player co-op, the enemies, in my opinion, were too bullet spongy. All of a sudden, I really enjoyed the level they were at in single player or in 2-player co-op. I liked the health pools there. 3 and 4-player, I thought, was just too much, and I'm shooting like a skag with 5 clips. I wasn't a fan of that aspect, but both series, I would love to come back real soon, I hope. I'm excited for both to see what they can do on this gen, because neither game has had a game this gen, and my God, what the hell?
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. And what's pretty amazing is, and we're going to get into what February 15th will always mean to every gamer. We have that as one of the topics, and it's astounding how many games have come out, how many quality games. But Don, before I get to you real quick, C-Script with the $2 super chat. Thank you so much. That is extremely kind of you. He says, happy birthday, Don. Now, Don, before I get your opinion, I just kind of want to read a little piece of the article.
My opinion on my birthday?
No, not your opinion on your birthday, because of course it's your birthday. Your opinion on the topic.
Oh, okay.
According to the story again that I pulled from comicbook.com, they say unfortunately Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick didn't divulge any further details on the project that shed light on what the game could possibly be, though he did say the game is on track and Take-Two themselves have very high expectations for this. Now, honestly, Don, I think the gaming world is ready for either of these titles, but I'm a greedy gamer. I'll be the first one to say, and I want both. Now, I know it's a stretch that we will get both in 1 year, unless they come out very early 2020 and very late 2020. But as a developer who has knowledge of what it takes to make a game and how difficult it can be, especially with trends, like what Shady was saying, that he thinks that Destiny might have thrown a monkey wrench into the development of Borderlands 3. Do you think that we're going to get either or both of these games?
Well, let me break down all the facts. BioShock has been in development prior to Halo 4.
Wow.
Holy moly.
So, and that's very, very clear, because the lead director of Halo 4 left the project to work on Halo again. So he was actually helped spearhead that new studio for 2K. So they're building a studio from the ground up for the BioShock series. So we'll see kind of where that goes. The Borderlands, Randy says they are working on a new Borderlands, but he will not strangely admit it's 3 for whatever reason. So whatever they're working on, it may not be Borderlands 3. There's a reason why he might be dodgy about that question. So I would say BioShock, just by definition, is probably sooner. Also, a lot of people from Borderlands left the series.
Yes, I heard that.
Yeah, and it's not like bad blood or anything like that. It's just that's what happened. I mean, I joke around with Mooch and a lot of the other guys that out there that, hey, it's just a Tuesday, because that's what they do. They're creative minds, and there's certain people that will stick with studios and make it their home, and there's certain people after the project's done, they'll just move on. They're super talented. One of the issues I would say Borderlands faces is a lot of its main writers are gone. And that's kind of the heart and soul and the personality of that game, for better or worse. And so that is a struggle that they're dealing with in regards to that. So, I would say BioShock is more up for a new sequel before anything else. Logic.
Well done. That's what I agree with you 100%.
When Borderlands 3 if Borderlands 3 ever gets announced, how close to the original art style from the first 2 games do you think it's going to adhere to?
I don't think the art style is going to take a turn. I think a lot of times when people are dealing cell shading, they're experimenting with other stuff, which is something they should have done last generation for certain games because it was fully capable. But and I use like Crackdown, perfect example. That game really isn't cell shaded, right? But it does have that cartoon look. If you compare it to what is Overwatch, it's not really cell shaded, but it has a very cartoon look.
Right.
So I think Borderlands can play around with a lot of that line art, but they don't necessarily need to make it exactly the same or not. But I'm sure it will still it'll look like Borderlands.
I like how you used Crackdown, actually, because when I was just playing it last night, the new Crackdown, I find it looks like Crackdown, but then again, it looks like a modern cartoony game. It doesn't look so much like a comic book come to life anymore. Like they got rid of the thick outline around all the characters and stuff like that. Like it doesn't look like it's hand drawn, kind of like the last ones did.
Well, they also allow
that.
lighting to affect the shader as well. So like you'll go in certain areas and like the purples and the blues are reflecting off the character and things like that. Like you just wouldn't get on older cell shaded games. So I mean that's more of a next gen feature, to be honest with you. But as I said, you can play around with this stuff. Like that's the thing. There's endless possibilities when you're working with shaders of what you can make games look like, either from a cartoon perspective or hyper
In my
reality.
mind, have you seen those guys that do the cosplay with Borderlands and they draw themselves with the makeup and they look just like the characters in
It's
Borderlands? Like, they almost
crazy.
look like a real
Yeah.
life cartoon. I imagine something like that when I imagine the sequel, because today's technology could really push something like that where it still looks comic booky, but then again, it almost looks like a real person pretending to
Well,
look like that at the same
at,
time. I'm not sure what he would do.
at the GDC, they were showing off certain tech they're obviously going to implement it into the game, or at least play around with it. But one of the things they were showing off is subsurface scattering. So what people don't really know, that is, there's certain objects that we think are solid,
Like your
but they're
skin.
but they're actually transparent. So that skin's one of them. Light shining through a piece of fabric, that's one of them, right? So where like the light hits it right, and then it obviously has a different glow from the inside than it does from the outside. Things like that. They're playing a lot with subsurface scattering. Also building certain layers, so it's not like this continuous like noise texture across the whole entire object. It highlights in certain areas. So they're playing around with shaders as well. I mean, that's what they showed 2 years ago, and we'll see where they go with it. I mean, there's a lot you can do. I mean, the possibilities are endless these days with current gen machines, to be honest
Yeah.
with you.
Oh yeah. I'm excited for both titles. I mean, you saying that BioShock could come early has me hype. Either or, I don't really care. I want to see both.
Yeah, it's been a longer production for sure. So
I got a question for you guys. No, we've talked a lot about Borderlands 3 and what we're expecting, what we want. 4-player co-op, looter shooter. Does it still look like a cartoon? I got a question for the panel that I've been toying with. Now, there is a significant graphical difference between BioShock Infinite, which was a lot brighter because it was, you were open in the air, you were swinging around all over the place. You were in the sky, so there was obviously the blue in the clouds, as opposed to the dark and dank BioShock 1. Just out of curiosity, where do you want the fourth BioShock to go? Do you want it to go back to the original where it was dark, more corridor based, where there was a more sense of you were nervous to look around the corner, or do you want to see BioShock continue in that open field of view where you can see the enemies coming?
I would say
I'll go with you first, Shady.
okay. I kind of jumped in there, so I mean, hey, I'll go. But personally, for BioShock, I like how the first one was underwater. The next one was way up in the sky. I'm trying to think of where the next one could go, and I'm thinking space. Give me a
Nice.
BioShock in space, some kind of a space station or on the moon or something. So I think that would lean more towards the flavor of the first game, where it's a bit more dark and corridor driven, because obviously you're not just going to be floating around out in space. You're going to be in, a station or a ship or some kind of a base somewhere. So I think that would be really cool, and maybe even bring some kind of like aliens or something into it. But yeah, give me the dark and the dank back.
Okay, Van, what about you? Because I know that you're a fan. Where do you want to see the direction of the franchise go?
I really enjoyed the dark and kind of dreary theme. I think that's where they're the best set, and I think that's where they should stay for the most part. Is keep it dark, keep it somewhere exotic, like Shady said, somewhere like the moon or in space. Something like that would be pretty cool to see or revisit, and experience. I guess what the best thing BioShock has to give us is, like it's hard to explain like how excited I am for this game, because the first one I think is what really tied me in, and the second one I kind of fell off of a little bit.
Yeah, well, you noticed the differences and who directed the game for sure.
Yeah, and so like I got really, really deeply into the first one, and it was just amazing. And to be able to experience it on a new gen with the newer graphics,
Wow, yeah, dude, it'd be amazing.
I can only imagine how insane that game, because that game runs great even to this day. I mean, it has its problems, but it looks still really good from how old it is.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a masterpiece. It's one of those those 2007 games. If you've been gaming for a while, 2007 is still revered as one of the best years in games for so many reasons and for so many consoles. Not just one, ran with it and left everyone in the dust. Each console had its own bangers, if you will. But Don, I kind of want to get your opinion from a developer's point of view. First of all, are we sure that the original director of the BioShock 1 has completely left 2K? He has nothing to do with 4. That's correct, right? Ken Levine is no longer with the company.
Yeah, he's moved on doing his own thing.
He is doing his own thing. Okay,
I would say he can be used in an advisory role. So
Okay.
I can see him doing that. And, if I created a series such as that and, got tired of continuously working on it and wanted to do my own project, I still would want to be involved in some sort of way if the people that own the property, would have me. And I have a feeling that's kind of what that relationship is. So.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? Everyone had a fantastic. This was actually one of my favorite topics to put together because I'm a fan of both series. I want to move on to the next topic, which is another game that I'm really looking forward to. A lot of people maybe will not be in the same mindset. But before I do that, I have to say a big thank you to Redneck Gamer with the $7 super chat. Thank you so much. That is extremely kind of you. And this is what he had to say. He says, awesome panel, greatest podcast ever. That is very kind of you to say. And he says, we need to get So Shady a podcast of his own. Shady, you have some fans there, brother.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear, man. Since leaving RDX, I have had nothing but support from the community. It's overwhelming, to be honest. Like, it just makes me feel so great inside. Coming on to these shows is an awesome experience, and to know that there are some people out there that pick up what I'm laying down. That's not why I'm here. I'm just here to share how I feel, but to know that there are people that enjoy hearing me speak on these shows, it really does. It brings a smile to my face, and to hear that they would like to see more of me or even make my own. Man, that's awesome. I'm thinking about it. I would love to get doing it. I got some self-teaching to do, but that's a me thing, man. Thanks for the support.
Well, listen, real quick again, Clayton White, a big supporter with the awesome $5 super chat. Thank you so much for that. He says, Boom, glad to see you having Shady and the Don on. 2 regular voices from some of my other favorite podcasts. Also like to thank Van for the games. Yeah, so thank you so much once again, Van. The generosity is just outstanding and literally second to none. But you know what? Let's move on to the next topic, guys. First of all, Ubisoft seems to be hitting home runs with just about everything. And I'm happy for that because they have moved into the #1 position for Boom as his favorite company. Obviously, everyone knows I'm a Division freak. I love Assassin's Creed. I'm not a Rainbow Six Siege guy, but I was a Rainbow Six Vegas guy. Loved those series. Love Ghost Recon. Praying for the day I can say I love Sam Fisher again. And yes, I'll say that publicly and admit it with no problem. Yes, I'm in love with Sam Fisher, and I do want a new game. But there was another game that got a lot of hate because there was a little bit of the old switcheroo when it was first shown off. And I'm talking about the Watch Dogs series. Now, Watch Dogs 1, a lot of people did not like Aiden as the main character. They thought he was cocky. They thought he was arrogant. And then Watch Dogs 2 came out, and they had a character by the name of Marcus Holloway. And I have to be honest with you. Not only am I a fan of Watch Dogs 2, not only did I get 1,000 out of 1,000 achievement points in that game, plus the DLC, not only do I have an actual statue literally sitting in front of me of all of the characters from that game, I'm a huge fan of the series. And thanks to some leaks that were posted by, of course, another favorite site of mine, comicbook.com, Watch Dog 3 trademarks hints at launch titles for both the PlayStation 5 and the next Xbox. And hearing this news, obviously in my voice, has got me hyped. I didn't just like Watch Dogs 2. I absolutely loved it. Now, according to the story, a new discovery reveals now public Watch Dogs 3 could potentially be a launch title for the PlayStation 5 and the next Xbox. And we get this information from YouTuber Skulls ITV, a trademark filed back in November, has currently been made public. And within the filing shows that we probably won't be seeing this game for a little while, but it could potentially, again, be a launch title. Van, I want to get your opinion on this. First of all, are you a fan of the Watch Dogs series? And because it could potentially be a launch title, these systems are going to be extremely powerful. We should get an awesome game.
I agree. I'm excited for this one, but it's for a different reason. I think the thing a lot of people don't know is I didn't actually have any time in the first two games. I didn't play it. I didn't try them. I regret not playing them, but it just, at that point in time, I was so into a bunch of other Ubisoft games that I didn't want to have to try and get into. So unfortunately, I don't have the same fandom that you guys do because I haven't actually played those two first games. But I am excited for this third one. I think that the more and more information that's going to come out about it will help generate a little bit. And it's never too late to become a fan of a series, you know?
No, I agree. I mean, there's been several games that that like you didn't play or weren't a fan of because of other games. And then when another iteration came out, I played it and I'm like, oh man, what did I miss? And
I think the problem was I was kind of in a hot point right then at that time because like Rainbow Six Siege at the time when Rainbow Six Siege first came out, it was really getting me all steamed up about Ubisoft because they had such a horrible launch for Siege when it first came out.
Yes, they sure did.
And I was so frustrated with Ubisoft and all their issues, and I was like, you know what? I was like, I'll work on some other games and take it easy, you know. And so I kind of had my little break from Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs and Ubisoft. But I tell you, over the last couple of years, they've been full force, just killing it with every single game they've been coming out with. They've just been killing it. So I'm excited for the future of Ubisoft games because they're just, yeah, like, and I see, and that's the funny thing too is like, everybody that knows me knows that I'm not a big fan of Assassin's Creed games, but I played Assassin's Creed Odyssey this last year, and my God, that game is amazing. It is, it just completely like threw me over the edge, you know, like the amount of detail they put in that game, it just gives me so much hope for the future of their company. And I just can't wait for the Division 2. That's why I'm really excited about the Division as well, is because I've seen what they've done in the past year for their games and how much they've supported their games, like Siege. You know, like it was such an epic fail at the beginning, and then they turned it around to be one of the most successful of their franchises. You know,
yeah, so. You know what? That's a great point, dude. The one thing I have to agree with you immediately, Van, is that Ubisoft is a company that listens to their fan base, and if they get it wrong, they go out of their way to make it right. You don't see a lot of developers that are willing to admit mistakes. And you're right, Rainbow Six Siege. I mean, look at where that game was and is. I mean, it is it's a storybook tale from rags to riches, if you will. You know, that game was poo-pooed. It launched terribly, and they just look. Another one, For Honor, for instance, launched, had a lot of problems. Was a great idea on paper, was not executed correctly, and look what's happened. The game continues to dominate with the fan base, and it's again, again, I have to tip my hat to Ubisoft for listening to the fan base. You know, I don't know how many people on the panel got involved in the Division 2 beta, and obviously I'm not going to kind of segue into that because we still have to talk about, you know, this game. But I put 20 hours into it, and as a fan who put over 36 days into the original of Xbox Live time, they listened to the fans. So there were a lot of complaints about Watch Dogs 2, and I have a very, very good, strong feeling that all of those complaints will, in fact, be addressed for Watch Dogs 3. Now, Shady, I just want to get your opinion on this. Watch Dogs 1, was a little underwhelming. Watch Dogs 2, for some people, didn't dig it, but I did. It was open world. It was GTA-esque, lots of gadgets. For me, the supporting cast was amazing. I loved every one of those characters. They told a story. Certain things happen. Someone dies, and I actually felt gut wrenched when the person died. Like, I felt so attached to the character, I was devastated, almost like I was a part of the crew. And that's how strong the story was for me, not for everyone else. Did you play Watch Dogs 2? And more importantly, are you excited for Watch Dogs 3?
Am I excited for Watch Dogs 3? Absolutely. Am I
Nice.
surprised that they're making a Watch Dogs 3? Not at all, actually. Ubisoft has come out in the past and said that they are extremely dedicated to doing franchises, big franchises. They're not doing one and dones. If a game kind of slips up and quote unquote bombs, the franchise isn't in jeopardy. They're going to learn from their lessons, pick up the pieces, and improve in the sequel. And I like that type of a mantra, if you will, coming from a big company like Ubisoft, that they are in it to win it with their franchises. They're here to learn from their mistakes, and they have confidence. It tells me they have confidence. Some people see it as like another yearly Assassin's Creed milk fest. I never even felt that way with Assassin's Creed. I enjoyed those games. If people were burnt out, that's a them issue. Take a year off for those guys. They were popular. They were done well, in my opinion. There was some mishaps here and there, but they recovered big time. Everyone's loving Odyssey. Watch Dogs, for me, man, that was like the first next gen, like this gen, when they showed that trailer off. That was the first game we'd seen that was going to be running off of these systems. And I remember just being absolutely blown away at the presentation in that very first reveal trailer. If anyone wants a window into how I personally try to play games, go and watch that very first reveal trailer for Watch Dogs, where he is slowly walking through the club and looking around and basically trying to feel like a real person, not a video game character that runs full tilt right to the checkpoint at all times, And I loved it, man. I loved that first game. It was broody. It was dark. Was it perfect? No. But I kind of also look at Watch Dogs series as almost the modern iteration of Assassin's Creed. I mean, Abstergo is even in the story. They're in there that we found and read about, right?
Yeah.
And when you think about what Assassin's Creed would be like in today's modern world, it's not going to be you running around with a flame sword downtown, chopping guys up in the middle of the street. You would be like hacking guys. You would be total, Black Ops, CIA type stuff. Weird. I think it is Watch Dogs on the low, and I did enjoy that first game a lot. The second game, I have heard amazing things about. Gameplay wise, I've owned it for a long time, but I have only loaded it up. I've never actually played it. And the reason for that was there's just too many tight jean wearing, latte sipping hipsters walking around. Like, that's not the only reason. I joke, but I mean, that was
it really was like that, though. There was a lot of tight jeans.
And there was a little bit of that where I'm kind of like, well, I'm not 100% into it. And I wanted to play co-op with a buddy, but he wasn't too down. So it's sitting in my backlog like many others. Backlog builder. I'm a goddamn MLG player at the game. But yeah, I am hyped for this. I am really hyped. I hope they go a little more gritty with it. Like we have Grand Theft Auto is very tongue-in-cheek satire. And then I think the only other big open world that takes itself like dead serious was Mafia. But that's way in the past. I would like a really dead serious open world game. And I think Watch Dogs can really fit that bill. And I would like it to be kind of dark and almost frightening, if you will. Whereas the last game felt very lighthearted and fun. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that at all, but I would like to see it take a darker turn. I like Aiden Pierce and his grisly voice and stuff a little bit more than the hipsterness of the sequel, if you will. But yeah, I am hyped for this. I'm not surprised, like I said, but my God, I hope it's soon. Like you said, at the launch, that's pretty soon. That's about 2 years away, I believe, until next gen's hitting. Again, just an opinion, but yeah, man, I hope it comes out swinging. That is one series I liked, and I would like to see it get a little bit more critical acclaim, maybe.
You want to see some robot spiders in the game?
Not so much necessarily that. Like,
That's great.
I'm not sure what I would like out of it. Just give me something that is it gets me asking questions about my own reality, if you will. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you start putting some 1983 or 1883, whatever the hell the title is, the old just Big Brother stuff. I really like the Big Brother stuff because
Yeah.
I think it's a big thing today for real, and it is a frightening concept.
It'd be cool if they went a little bit deeper into it instead of going a little, like on the crazy side, go a little
I
bit
agree.
on the deeper
Yes.
side.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. You know, according to the story, Ubisoft has been pretty quiet regarding the future of the Watch Dog franchise, aside from a few cryptic teases and a smartphone assistant. So we don't know actually what the title is going to be about, per se. Obviously, the first title was set in Chicago. The second title was set in a fictionalized version, and really not too far from the truth, San Francisco. And the third one is rumored to be in jolly good London. And I think that could bring it back to that kind of dark, dank, more serious. Because the one thing I have to say about the Ubisoft series is that even though they're not hand in hand per se linked with one another, we know Splinter Cell exists within Assassin's Creed. We know that Rainbow Six exists within Splinter Cell. We know that Rainbow Six exists within Ghost Recon. So they're all in under one umbrella. And obviously we know that Watch Dogs does exist within at least the Assassin's Creed world. I'd like to see them bring it to, like you guys were saying, a more darker, down to earth, more realistic. Don, what were your takes on Watch Dogs 1 versus 2, and where would you like to see 3 go?
I should be the person they should never listen to because I never enjoyed but that's the thing though. Like, I think they do a really good job of Ubisoft in general. Like, every company's got their strengths, but Ubisoft does this thing where they create a lot of open world games, but they are different from one another. And if someone's not into the series but into Ubisoft, they'll provide a product for you, but they'll never try to make their other products be like their other products. Does that make sense? They allow them to kind of stand on their own, be their own thing, and they know how to kind of shuffle through the noise out there who are real fans of the series and continue to grow that game that way. I would say that's something very unique to Ubisoft. I wouldn't say they've done it completely with Assassin's Creed. I have mixed feelings about Assassin's Creed, but I would say every other franchise they've done a really good job about that. So.
Okay, I mean, look, it's everyone's entitled to their opinion. If again, not every game is for every gamer. I say it at almost every show because for some reason people think that if a game comes out and it's not for them, it's shit, or why isn't this game for me? Because different tastes for different people. The same excitement that I have for Watch Dogs 2. There were a lot of people I saw in the chat were like, you know what? Watch Dogs 2, I just wasn't for me. And that's okay, man. I mean, it's the same thing with Crackdown.
Well, that should all games should be like that, right? Like, if it's not for you, it's not for you. But you want games to find their audience. That's like the whole thing. So, like, no matter what I put out there myself, there's going to be a certain amount of people that are going to dislike the game no matter what. And there's going to be a certain amount of people that like the game. All I care about is reaching out to the people that would like that game. And for those that don't like that game, guess what? There's plenty of games out there for you. You're not starving, right? Yes. Like, the industry is high on the hog, per se. So, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things like Ubisoft has carved out their niche as more of the open world gamer. If you're that type of person that enjoys those sort of games, that's the target audience. They're trying to monopolize your time, but provide you with entertainment in exchange, right? And I think they do a pretty good job of that. So,
hey, Watch Dogs, you never know. Watch Dogs might even be in somewhere else in Europe because they already have the assets for some certain areas, like crotch shots, right? Like Amsterdam.
Yeah. Yes.
Next Watch Dogs in Amsterdam.
That would be deep and very R-rated.
You remember that controversy with Watch Dogs 2 when it
I
first
do. I
launched?
remember
And,
that.
yeah, someone was shooting hookers in the alley, and she fell on the ground with her skirt a little up the skirt shot, and she wasn't wearing any underwear. And of course, he posted that, and it was a huge uproar, like it was the end of the world that this hooker wasn't wearing underwear. And they're like, "Oh my
thing that
god!"
happened.
It was real. Yeah, it actually
yeah.
was. They had to
Dude,
go
they
in
actually-
and edit in, panties for these poor women that yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
women in quotes, of course. It's all video
The
games.
woman
There's
actually
nothing.
had body parts down there.
Yes.
In the
Shocking.
game.
Detailed.
Shocking. Well, listen, again, this is as interesting as this topic end up being with the no panties. I have to move on to the next topic, which is one I'm excited about. But real quick, my God, I have to say a big thank you to Fastback OG with the outstanding and unbelievable $20 super chat. He says, I can't say enough of how great Boom shows are with Salty, Welsh, and of course, Breakfast with Boom. Quality, common sense gaming talk. Thank you. Listen, no, thank you. Not just for the $20 super chat. Obviously, that is unbelievable generosity. That's second to none. But I put a lot of work into these shows because, number one, I love this community. I truly, truly do. And I respect your time more than I even respect my own. And I want to make sure that when you guys show up, which everyone, I mean, we're already pushing almost 110 watching live, which is amazing. I want to make sure that when you come here, you're not going to be like, well, you know what? I listen to a lot of podcasts and this is the end of the week and I've heard the same freaking story 8 times. You're not going to get that. Some of my stuff I write myself. And some of the stuff I pull very odd stories that no one's talking about because no one is talking about it. But you know what? Thanks again for that, dude. That is extremely kind of you to say. And of course, the $20 super chat is very, very welcomed. Let's move on to the next topic. And it's a good one. And it's one I think everyone's going to have an opinion on this panel. Call of Duty 2019 will feature an entirely new campaign. Thank God.
Yes.
In
we all cheer and clap first.
Yes. Here we go. Everyone clap. I mean, look, in a generation that has been ruled by the online shooter craze, it's very exciting for me, an old MF like myself, who still enjoys a strong story-based single-player experience. Now, I pulled this story from pure.com. And according to what the story says, Call of Duty 2019 is in the making at Infinity Ward. Now, we know Infinity Ward is not the same Infinity Ward they were with Vince Zampella, but they're still a quality studio. And they're currently hard at work at the next Modern Warfare franchise. Now, from what we hear, that there's not going to be any wall running, any lasers shooting out of the sky. This is going to be a modern warfare type game. Now, during a call with investors, Activision has shared those, the pillars that hold up the company, and it seems as if the next game is going to be extremely different from Black Ops 4. Now, I'm very happy to hear this. Don, I want to get your opinion immediately on this. We've talked. I understand Call of Duty. Now, I heard I think it was the other night, Mooch was saying that, I think it was on Xbox Nation, and of course, me and Mooch are like brothers, and we disagree, but at the end of the day, we're still friends. He said something to the effect that Call of Duty is known for online, and I have to disagree with him because before Modern Warfare came out, Call of Duty was known for its single-player strong story campaign. Yes, big explosions. You're following Sergeant Stunats into the bomb, and you get killed, and then the quote from the president comes up. I understand where he's coming from, but choice is supposed to be the thing of the consumer, and removing the single player campaign in 2018 completely ruined Black Ops for me. I didn't buy it. I wouldn't buy it. If it was in the $5 below, that's a block up from me, I might consider picking it up and give it a shot for $5. But I probably wouldn't pay any more. Don, how exciting is this that we're going to get a full-on campaign as well as the storied multiplayer that the title's known for?
Well, I guess on your first argument, to clarify, every time they usually show Call of Duty, isn't it most of the time they show the campaign as the introduction of
Yes,
the game.
that is correct. Yes.
So I'm not sure where his opinion's valid. There is high numbers on their multiplayer. They've always had high numbers on their multiplayer. There are some customers that only play their multiplayer. However, there are some customers like myself that thinks the multiplayer really doesn't have any depth at all, to be honest with you.
Yes.
I mean, it's basically instant satisfaction, like go around a corner, pull left trigger, right trigger, win. And that's the gameplay loop. People enjoy it, and obviously it's very successful because of that. But at the end of the day, the multiplayer has about the same amount of depth as the campaign, so you can't use that as really a talking point. And I play the campaigns. I play the campaign. I don't even touch the multiplayer. I mean, if there was achievements, it would probably reflect that on the multiplayer side of things. But the reality is I play through the campaign and I put away the series. I look at it as a good popcorn flick, Michael Bay moments, those sort of things. And I look forward to them not necessarily every year. Call of Duty it's kind of a filler game for me, right? So if it's a light year on great content around the holidays, and I got some spare time, I'm going to pick up a Call of Duty. If we're kind of running a little heavy on the content during the holidays, then I pass up on it and I don't really care. I don't think twice about it. So Call of Duty is a weird franchise. I don't understand why people argue only the multiplayer side of things. I just don't get it, to be honest with you. So,
I mean, look, again, when you let me just say this, okay? Games are 6501 after tax. I'm going to be honest. I don't know how they stayed that way with the way the budgets have gone up.
Volume.
Volume. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, volume's the only way they do it.
Right. So. Yeah, that's true. I mean, obviously, if you're selling, 13 million copies, you don't need to make it to, be 7108 or whatever it is after tax. But when I spend 6501 on a game, usually because I like collector's edition, I buy the bigger one. And when it's like, for instance, all the Ubisoft games, I go gold. I go gold because I like the little extras. I like the season passes. I like all the side story stuff that, because I'm buying the game. I'm a fan, so I want the bigger package. Nothing wrong with that. But when I buy a 65, I spend 6501 on a Call of Duty game. I am not, and I repeat that I am absolutely not okay with you telling me, well, you have zombies, you have blackout mode, and you have one other online mode. I could give a flying shit. I don't care. When you tell me there's a zombie mode, a blackout mode, another online mode, and you're going to get a good, 10 to 12 hour campaign, you got my 6501. Van, I want to get your opinion on this. What are your takes on Call of Duty going back to the classic type of package that we've grown up to know and love?
Oh man. First of all, I'd like to say that response Don had was like spot on.
Yeah, it is.
Exactly the way I feel about Call of Duty, and I've felt about it since Modern Warfare 2 and 3. And the thing is every year when I do buy Call of Duty, actually this year was the first year I didn't buy Call of Duty.
Me too. Yes.
And one, it was because it didn't have a story, and then two, my son really badly wanted to play it, but I only get Call of Duty for the story, co-op, and zombies.
Let me ask you guys both this question because you're both in this boat. Did you do it because you were mad, or you do it because you didn't get it because they didn't offer anything you cared about?
For me, it didn't give me anything that I wanted to make the purchase. So I wanted the story, and then multiplayer. I never play any of the multiplayer ever on any of the Call of Duties unless it's zombies. So to me, it was like zombies didn't justify a $60 purchase, so I didn't buy it. And fortunately, someone in the community was great enough. Supersonic Station, he gifted it to me, so I could play zombies. But I agree with wholeheartedly with everything you said, Don. It's single player story is still there. And that's where EA has it wrong too, is they think single player story doesn't matter. And I always get the game because me and my son can both enjoy it. I enjoy the single player, he enjoys the multiplayer.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, and for me, Don, I don't look. The one thing I'm going to say is this. First of all, I'm 48 years old. Okay, I don't stomp my feet and hold my breath when someone doesn't give me what I want. You know, maybe when I did that when I was 5. You know, I mean, I think the way that you tell a developer, that you're not happy with your choices is you do what I did. I tweeted at them. Of course, I was a proper gentleman. I said, "Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not a fan that it's not going to have. You know, when the rumors first came out that we weren't getting it, I tweeted at Activision. I didn't get a response, of course. I got a lot of likes and favor, and a lot of retweets on it. But I let them know that I wasn't happy and that I wasn't buying their product because it didn't have enough for me as a consumer. When the game came out, I stayed strong. I said if I would have, I entered plenty of contests to win it. If I would have won the game, I probably would have put maybe a few hours into it because I don't normally play Call of Duty for the multiplayer. I play it because I like the big explosions. I like the following Captain Stunat. I like that kind of stuff. So I didn't buy exactly what Van said. It just didn't offer enough for me as a consumer to want to plop down that money with so many games out there.
Well, then that's how you do it. You don't have to be a jerk about it. You just
exactly yes.
Take the facts why you're not picking up the product, and you don't pick up the product. You know, a lot of times people complain and whine and make a big fuss, and they still buy the product. You're sending a mixed message to those people, right? They're saying, "Huh, well, they're just going to complain, so we'll just sit down tight, and then we'll still get our sell." In regards to that, so if you don't purchase, I mean, I want all games to do well and find their audience, right? But if there's no audience, then they have to make an adjustment. And if you're giving legitimate feedback, that allows an opportunity for them to improve. These companies are going to make mistakes. They're always trying to make certain calls. They're not evil. They're just making sometimes the wrong calls. And then next thing you know, there's repercussions to those wrong calls. And I think that's totally fair.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think they realized. I mean, listen, it did sell well for them, obviously because it had the blackout mode. I think that if they would not have had that in there, it would have sold poorly. So Shady, I want to get your opinion on this. Like I said, you're not as old as obviously old man Boom here, but you still like your strong single player games. Yeah, sure, you play with your brother, you play with your roommates, you play with your friends, and that's awesome. But sometimes you just want to sit down and play a game that has a campaign and a story. What are your takeaways from them going back to what works, in my opinion, with the next Call of Duty?
First of all, with the last Call of Duty, I don't think they maliciously took it out. Like, I don't think that they planned on it.
I think it was a development issue.
I do believe that. I do believe them when they say that it was a development issue and they couldn't get it done in the time frame. And they were just lucky that the Battle Royale scene had exploded like it had, because if that campaign had botched like it did and there was no Battle Royale thing going on, I don't know what the hell they would have done, because just releasing multiplayer and just zombies, that would not have done it. That really wouldn't. I am a Call of Duty player for the campaign first. I do really enjoy the multiplayer, though. I do play a lot of it. I never touch the zombies almost ever. Like, since World War II, when they first came out, I played a bit of that. Didn't jive with me. I didn't go back for the other Call of Duties. This last one I did because it was one of the highlighted modes, so I gave it a try again with my boys and had a good enough time, but nothing spectacular. Battle Royale got me this time. That's what got me this time, is because I wanted in, and Fortnite wasn't doing it for me, and I knew PUBG wasn't going to either. Call of Duty, I knew played great, so I wanted it for the Battle Royale. Plus, like I said, I'm a multiplayer guy, a big-time multiplayer guy, so I do play the Call of Duty. I didn't think this was egregious, if you will. I mean, if it wasn't for you, as you guys on the panel had said, you just didn't buy it, and that's fine. But they are bringing back the campaign. And that is fantastic. And it's not news to me. Like, they did say they were going to. I think even before Black Ops 4 released, when people were losing their minds, they said this isn't going to be the trend. The next one will have one. But I mean, a lot of people don't want to believe or don't want to trust. I don't have a problem with it. If it ends up not, I'm not going to lose my mind. Oh, well, it's Call of Duty. I won't pick it up. But it's coming back with the campaign. And I think that whatever went wrong with the last game, they've learned those lessons and are applying it perhaps to this one as well. And we're going to get something different for the first time in a long time as far as a Call of Duty goes. I really hope it has co-op. I think all Call of Duty campaigns should have some form of cooperative. I love co-op Call of Duty. It's so much fun. I'm down. I always like COD. I think it's a full packaged game. You get a lot of multiplayer that plays great. You get a campaign, with the exception of last year's. And then you've got the horde mode with zombies, which is hugely popular for a lot of people. That's fantastic. A lot of games today are either single player only, multiplayer only, maybe a single player with a tacked on multiplayer. Very few games tend to offer all of it at a above average quality, and I think Call of Duty brings it to the table every year. If you're burned out about it, take a year off. Don't demand that the game take a year off. There's a lot of fans. Are they all multiplayer fans? No. I think a majority of them are, though. You look at the achievement stats and it says roughly 30-35% of the people are beating the campaign, and a lot of people look at that percent and they go, oh well, it's nobody. But doesn't Call of Duty sell like, I don't know, 18 million copies or something like that every year? And if that's the case, 30% of that is 6 million people are beating these campaigns every year. 6 million.
Right.
Like that's a lot of people.
Dollars.
That's right. That's more people are beating a Call of Duty campaign than are buying gigantic banger exclusives a lot of the time. Like, I think the hate's got to cool down, get off the percentage, and look at the actual numbers of games sold and the millions of people that enjoy this mode. I'm glad to see it come back, and I hope it comes back in just a huge way that even maybe brings some of the haters back to see what the hell's going on over here. I'm excited.
I have some constructive criticism for them too, for their future games. If they're going to do like more battle royale type games, I think that they should make it more Call of Duty at heart if they're going to do their battle royale. Like Blackout's really good, but it looks like two different games when you go to the multiplayer to Blackout. And I wish what they would do is they would do more kind of like everybody's played Apex Legends lately. When you log into Apex Legends and you go through that intro, it is like Titanfall. It just doesn't have Titans. Like, it feels like Titanfall. It looks like Titanfall. I wish that they would have that for Black Ops, for Blackout, because all that, like maybe they have to lower their numbers down, kind of like Apex Legends did, where you can only have so many people, and maybe that will help make the game run a little bit smoother, or just find their own little niche to kind of bring it all together and make it feel like one actual game.
Interesting. Yeah. I don't see that myself when I play the both. I mean, obviously the multiplayer aspect is more detailed because they're small maps, so there's
that's what I'm saying is like
stuff everywhere. But
they like streamlined it down to be able to fit 100 people, and I wish okay. So for example, if you could play the multiplayer maps, like how good those things look on Blackout, I mean, that would be just freaking insane,
Yes, I agree. I agree that there's a bit of a difference.
The multiplayer maps themselves are actually on the Battle Royale map. Like, that's what they are. And when you go in there, it's hardly like you're playing like a last gen game or something. It does still look really good.
It looks good. It's just, it's toned down. With
Battle Royale, you can't have as much clutter, if you will, so much in the world. Like, it has to be toned down a bit because the stakes are high as hell. And if you're looking to the left because some leaves blew by and you get your head blown off, the match is over. So I think some of that is toned down on purpose.
It's doable. They just have to find
the mode.
It's doable. They just have to find the niche that fits the right way. Like, you don't always have to do 100-player battle royale. Like, it's been proven. It doesn't have to be 100 players to fit into the server. Like, they just need to. That's why I'm saying it's constructive criticism for the future. To try and better hone in on and keep that game looking like it's all one piece.
Okay.
Well, look, let me just say this. This is I'm happy. I don't know what the game is going to be about. I don't know the story. I know it's going to have a campaign. Already Boom's in. I am going to say this. I would like to see them go back to the elaborate collector's editions that don't include a stupid box and nothing else in it. I do still have the night vision goggles.
Oh yeah.
which are amazing. It even came with the mannequin head you could put them on. I thought that was dope.
That's right. I've gotten up to use the washroom a few times in the middle of the night and put those bad boys on to see what's going on. It's dangerous going down the stairs with them. Your depth perception is messed, but they work. I was blown away when those first came out.
I mean, come on. That was an amazing collector's edition. Let's get back to the old Call of Duty. Let the people who play multiplayer enjoy the shit out of it, and let the people like me and Van and a few others that enjoy the single player campaign to enjoy that as well. And then, you know what? It's a happy medium. Everyone wins. You play your multiplayer, you have fun. You play your single player and move on. You have fun. That's what I'd like to see them go back to. And I'm glad they are listening, because that was a great stat about the 6 million people out of the 18 million. That's still a third.
That's a lot of people. And real quick, what's everyone on the panel's favorite Call of Duty campaign? Mine was Infinite Warfare. Man, I love that one. Ooh, space.
I'm gonna say I'm the original Modern Warfare. I Call of Duty 4, if you will. Okay. Modern Warfare. That's probably one of my favorites.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Don, Van?
Mine's Modern Warfare 2.
Nice.
Yeah, mine was Modern Warfare 2 as well. You know, also, I miss Juggernauts. Do you guys miss Juggernauts?
Oh, no, God, I don't miss Juggernauts.
You don't miss them because
they made my life a living hell.
I had so much frustrating fun with Juggernauts. It was amazing.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Well,
like, you have to get that headshot. Like,
otherwise, once they roll up on you, it's pretty much over. If there's not enough space and you're kind of trapped with your back to the wall and you don't get them, you're done. But Van, I'd like to announce the winner of this 6-month Game Pass, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, go for it. Let's do this.
Okay, it is Robert Gleaves. Congratulations, my friend. I went to his Twitter page. I gave him a follow. And guess what? You are the winner of the Xbox Game Pass 6 months prize package. I'll be DMing you after the show to give you the code as soon as I get that from Van, or Van if you want. Either way, either you'll hear from me or from Van. But congratulations on the big win. Thanks for being here. Thanks for tweeting that out. And Van, if it's okay, because we're already past the 60-minute mark, I kind of want to pick the next winner of the Xbox Live 12-month subscription.
Let's do it.
Okay, I'm picking right now. The winner is... Well, it can't be Boom. That's what came up, but let's do it again. The winner is J Dubs, the graphic god. Congratulations, Jay. You're the winner of the Xbox Live 12-month prize package. That is a big win for you, my friend. Congratulations. Thank you for your undying support. And we will get to the other 2 big ones towards the end of the show. But I want to move on to the next topic, and I think everyone is going to be excited for this one as well. Rage 2 is coming out by Bethesda, and it just received a near 10-minute fast-paced gameplay video on YouTube. And I'm going to say this. Holy shit! I was completely blown away on how awesome this game looks. The next title being published by the now Stinkfest known as Bethesda. Because obviously Fallout 76 came out and everyone gave them the hate. And I was in on the $200 edition. I respect Bethesda. They're one of my favorite companies. I don't think that they're stinky, to be honest with you. I think Fallout 76 did not meet expectations, and I am absolutely willing to go back and buy anything that they put out, simply because I'm a fan of all of the CEO. I'm a fan of the developers there. I think they put out great products. I think that Rage 2, even though I don't think it's being developed by Bethesda, it's being published, I think is going to be big for that company. Now again, guys, I had sent you the video earlier in the week to get you, so you guys can see it, and I really want to get your opinion. But I just want to read a little bit of this story I pulled from DualShockers.com, and they say Bethesda had let loose a new sequence of gameplay for Rage 2, which shows off tons of weapons, abilities, and vehicles. In total, this new gameplay video was nearly 10 minutes in length. It is the pre-beta demo that they showed. They have not showed off in full as of yet. So this is new footage. Don, I want to get your opinion on a couple of things. First of all, this game is going to be big for Bethesda. I think that it's going to people are going to forget about Fallout 76. They're going to stop giving it that unnecessary hate. I mean, yes, the game is not what everyone wanted. Yes, the game has bugs. Yes, it's not fixed as of yet. But that does not take away from what they've done in the past and what they're going to do in the future. But as for Rage 2, did you get a chance to watch the video? And if so, what were your takeaways from it?
Rage 2 is one of those games I was hoping is going to come out last year, and I'm still excited for this year. So, no, I haven't seen the footage, but it doesn't really matter. I'm kind of already all in.
Okay.
Rage 2 comes out, or when I have free time, one of the two, because I'm sure a lot of gamers are in the same boat. A lot of people have all the free time to do all the games that are coming out right now. So,
okay. I mean, look, I'm going to say this. I saw, obviously they showed it off at E3. A lot of people were blown away. I don't know how many people in the chat actually got a chance to play Rage 1. It's recently been added as backwards compatible. I think that is a huge deal. I absolutely loved Rage 1. It was fantastic. I'm gonna be honest. The graphics back then, I still can't believe what I was seeing. It pushed the Xbox 360 to a point of probably overheating. That's how graphically intense it was. I still would argue that if you played it today prior to playing Rage 2, you would probably really enjoy that game from start to finish. It is very Mad Max-esque, if you will. It's worth your time. It's worth a couple of bucks. I'd like this. I'm not sure. Is it? I think it's in Game Pass, isn't it?
It is.
It is in Game Pass. So if you have Game Pass, please check this game out. Shady, I heard you talking in the background. Obviously, you're jonesing to talk about Rage 2 and what your feelings on Rage 1. Take it away.
My God, I am hyped. I mean, when they very first revealed this game, the only thing I was a little bit concerned about was the music choice that they went with in that very first reveal. Not my choice personally. They've moved on beyond that, it seems. And every single thing I have seen on this game has me excited, with the exception, it's not violent enough. I am expecting like Doom level violence. You know what I'm saying? I want to run up there and tear these guys apart with my infused powers that he's got. But I mean, you're still blowing them up. They're still getting gibbed. There is some savage violence, but I like my game violence to be like, the rookies in the corner puking his guts out style, that type. But man, I'm hyped. When it comes to id Software, that company is almost 100% responsible for making me the first-person shooter fan that I am today. I was back playing games in the 1900s. Wolfenstein,
I love
Doom 1, Doom 2, back when I had no sound card. My PC tower was screeching at me, ear, whatever was going on in there. I don't know how it made noises, but it made whatever noises it did. I was into id games since the beginning, man, and I still think to this day that they almost have, bar none, the top gameplay. It's just fast, it's furious, it's fun first. That is the first thing that they are there to deliver, is fun, fast, first-person gameplay. And my God, I don't think anyone comes close. I love id Software. And, I forgot the name of the other group, Avalanche Studios. They have been absolutely incredible the last few years. I loved Mad Max. I am really enjoying Just Cause 4 right now. And these two companies come together. id Software, generally, it's like a corridor shooter, and they do them fantastic. They don't do big open world stuff, whereas Avalanche Studios does that big open world stuff. And these two companies, like, it's just a match made in heaven, I think. It's got huge color. Color is back in game.
Yes.
God, holy moly. And it just looks so much fun and so fast. It's vibrant, it's bright, it's neon. I like the apocalypse setting. I am a Rage fanboy. I'm convinced I'm the only one on this planet, because that first game was slept on and generally just kind of gets slighted a lot. It even did when it very first came out, and I always thought that the issue was it was sort of releasing around the window of the original Borderlands and Fallout 3. Both of those other games are big open world, looter-esque, RPG type games. Rage isn't. It's an in-your-face, corridor-esque shooter with a few, sandbox, I'll call them, because it's not open world, elements, and it did it awesome. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. I think the story fell flat is polite to put it at the very end. I wanted more, man, but the gameplay, the cool little wing stick that you're throwing around, chopping heads off, the death animations when the guy's running at you full tilt and you're shooting him and you hit him in the left shoulder, he would like spin in a circle and keep going with his momentum. The enemies were climbing on the walls and hanging from the ceilings. It was very unorthodox. And I loved it, man. If you had access to those sewer mission DLC for pre-ordering it, down in the sewers, I got like a real, almost like a horror, like almost a Resident Evil vibe, man. It was scary as shit down there for me. I love Rage. I'm so happy it's coming back. I always thought they were going to bring it back. I have massive faith in id Software and the products that they release, and I think they do too. And they're taking what maybe didn't work before, and I don't even know what they're like quadrupling down on it this time. It looks so good. I'm so hyped. Like May can't come soon enough. That being said, there's too many games, so it can take its time. At the same time, like, oh, I'm excited. I am so excited. The only thing that has me more excited than Rage 2, as far as first-person shooters, is Doom Eternal. Also, from id Software,
I think we're getting that this year, which would be outstanding.
Yes.
Real quick, Van, before I get your opinion on this, Rumple Foreskin with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. He says, only caught 5 minutes so far. Sounds great, but gotta go. We'll listen later on the playback. I hope everyone hits the thumbs up button. Yes, thank you. It's great to have you in the chat, my friend. Thank you so much for your generosity. And yes, please, if you wouldn't mind, I usually get yelled at privately by Mooch before Crossfire every Friday night because I continuously forget to ask people to hit the like button. It really does help the channel. Somehow or another, the more likes you get, something with the algorithm gets you put into a different lane of traffic online, and more people are able to watch the video and in turn get more subs for the channel, and that obviously helps us grow. So yeah, if you wouldn't mind and you're enjoying it, like I said, if you're enjoying it, please hit the like button. If you are not enjoying it and we've offended you, or you're just not a fan of Boom or anyone on the panel, then when I say hit the thumbs down button, what am I going to say? I'm not going to get mad.
There is a trick to the thumbs down button. If you hit it once, for whatever reason, it doesn't register. So you have to hit it again. And then, I know it sounds weird, but you have to hit the thumbs up button afterwards. It's a weird little combination. YouTube's having a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, so you just got to hit it twice and then hit the thumbs up button. Just trust me, it'll work.
Okay. Well, listen, I mean, either way, I'm glad that you're here. Hopefully you will come back. Hopefully we will change your opinion. But Van, I want to get your opinion on this. This video, we saw a variety of different weapons that will be available in Rage 2, such as the assault rifle and the shotgun, in addition to many powerful abilities that your character will have at their disposal. The ending of the video shows off some action taking place in like a sky drone type vehicle, and then it ends with a possible boss fight. Did you get a chance to watch the video, and more importantly, are you excited for Rage 2?
Oh man, I watched that video you linked, and my God, it looks amazing. And the first thing I got when I first watched that video, because I've seen other gameplay, I totally got Mad Max 2.0 out of that video. Like,
yes.
Hardcore Mad Max 2.0. It was so amazing, and it's amazing to see a first person shooter change over from like the Mad Max style like car battles to straight into first person shooting. And it just looks so insane with the amount of weapons that you have to choose from. I think there's going to be a lot of internet memes made out of this game because of
yeah, I bet,
like the comedy on some of the situations that you can get yourself into. I can just see like using that blaster gun, like shooting people across the screen. Just the amount of fun things you're going to be able to do in that game is just going to be insane. And like Shady said, color is back in games, and oh my gosh, the more vibrant colors, it almost seems like it's getting more popular. Like Cyberpunk is going to have pretty vibrant colors.
Yes.
Look
yes,
at
it
Far
is.
Cry that just launched. My
Yeah, the new
God.
Far Cry. Yeah, everybody's just trying to get onto that hype train, and I think with HDR TVs, it's just going to show even better and better. And yeah, I'm extremely excited for this game, and I loved Mad Max. I completed it. I got a 100% on the PlayStation. I started it again
Whoa.
on the Xbox, and
Nice.
I didn't complete it on the Xbox, but I already completed it on the PlayStation. So I was like, eh. But I love that game, and yeah, I can't be any more happy that this thing's going to be coming out hopefully this year.
Yeah, well, I think it's coming out in May. I think I actually have the deluxe edition of that paid for in full.
Yeah.
I'm all in on that game. I cannot wait. It's big. It's open world. It's violent. It's colorful. It's got vehicles. It's got powers. It's got machine guns. Sign Boom up right now. I'm good. But you know what? Let's move on to the next topic, guys. And of course, it is another banger. I'm especially hyped for this one because I'm such a fan. Resident Evil 8 and Resident Evil 3 Remake speculations coming to us from gamingbolt.com. And when I read this, I have to say, I'll link it in the show notes. I'll add it after the show ends. It was an incredible read. It was a lengthy read. If you're a Resident Evil fan, boy, girl, whatever, you will enjoy this. They had a lot of opinions on it. But you know what? I want to talk about some stuff that they didn't mention. Before Resident Evil 2 was even confirmed, someone by the name of Anonymous One on the 4chan forums broke the story of Capcom wanting to revisit some of the older IPs. Everything that he or she said came true with Resident Evil 2. Now, you talk about Resident Evil 2, the first big one of 2019. It shipped 3 million copies in 7 days.
Nice.
That's tremendous. Okay. As a matter of fact, the free story DLC dropped today, where I don't know if it's all 3 survivors, but there's going to be a total of 3 survivors where you're going to get to see their stories of how they did or did not get out of Raccoon City. It's free. If it's free, everyone says it's for me, or like my good friend Salty says, if it's free, he'll take 3. And you get 3 different side stories. So go check that out. But you know what? Now that we're hearing, the success of Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3 Remake is starting to now gain some ground. Capcom had an investors meeting back in 2016 where things did not look good for Capcom as a company. And they wanted to revisit a lot of their older IPs. Resident Evil 2 is a hit in many circles, especially Boom's. It's already a Game of the Year contender. Whether that's for you or not, I hear you. But for Boom, it's my favorite game of all time. But Don, I want to get your opinion on this. When you see an older game remade to the extent that Resident Evil 2 was made, and the fan base come back in a big way in regards with sales and praise and scores and Metacritic and this, that, and the third, it makes sense for them to want to revisit 3, because I think Nemesis is probably one of the best Resident Evil bad guy characters ever. Are you surprised by this, and are you excited to see where they take 3?
Not surprised by it. Played that game. Here's the thing: Resident Evil it's kind of like found its groove.
Yes,
it's got its groove back, right? So now that they kind of really reinstated what Resident Evil is, let's go new. Let's carry on the story. Let's move on. There's nothing wrong with the old stuff, and yes, you can try to make these older ones new again, but it's got its groove back. Let us move on. I guess that's kind of my thing on it, because I can only go back to so many older remakes of a game, and and I'm saying this about Resident Evil, but as somebody that actually likes Resident Evil, I just wanted to move on to the next thing. So.
Okay, I mean that listen, that makes perfect sense. I know that the stories of Claire Redfield, Chris Redfield, Jill Valentine, Obviously Leon S. Kennedy, Barry. Where's Barry? You know what I'm saying? We know Wesker's gone. So yeah, so you want to see them move on. At the same time, though, I consider Resident Evil very similar. And it's getting now. Hold on, folks, before you start throwing tomatoes. Very similar to the Star Wars series, and what do you say? Well, boom, you're insane. What are you talking about? Well, I'm talking about characters. When you think of Star Wars, you think of Vader, you think of Luke, you think of Han, you think of Chewie, Princess Leia, R2, C3PO. I can go on all day. Lando, those are the mainstays. When you think of Resident Evil, or at least when I do, I think of Chris, Jill, Leon, and Claire. I think of Where's Barry. I think of the Master of Unlocking. I want to see them move on. That's true. I want to see them expand on the universe. At the same time, I still would like a Resident Evil 3 remake, but we're also hearing about Resident Evil 8. And apparently, there are a couple of tidbits from this story, and I want to get Shay's opinion on this. First of all, Resident Evil 7 is, in my opinion, the turning point for Capcom as a company. They did a very extremely ballsy move by making this game first person. I Resident Evil freak like myself was a little on the fence. I was like, my God, I don't know what's happening here. First person, I think it's going to bomb. And it turned out to be my game of the year in 2017, I believe when it came out. Mooch as well was on board with the boom train on Resident Evil 7 being the game of the year. And apparently, not only is Resident Evil 8 going to pick up where Resident Evil 7 ended, but it's going to retain the first-person perspective. What are your takes on that, Shady?
That excites me. That was one of my favorite things that Resident Evil has done in its history, was go first person without turning it into an action-packed first-person shooter. It was still Resident Evil at its core. It was still frightening and slow-paced. Ammo was light, but it was in the first-person perspective. And for me, that is the most immersive. Weird, considering I live my life in the first-person perspective as well. There's no camera following me 10 feet behind, and I'm watching an iPad as I walk around the world. Like, I love first-person perspective. I play it in my racing games, even to my own detriment, where I can't see the cars beside me. I just enjoy it better myself. Same with my flying games, my shooting games. I'm super hyped that Cyberpunk has gone this route, and it excited me that Resident Evil did it, and they nailed it, man. And if they're going to continue that with 8, that excites me. And like, we got 7 last year. We got the remake of 2, which is a phenomenal game, and I think probably one of the best, if not the best example of how to do a remake from the past. It's not just a simple up-res or a little bit better graphics or slightly tighter controls. This is a completely rebuilt game. The original came out a long, long time ago. People were born and have their driver's licenses now since this game came out. They may not have ever played it because, I mean, when they're playing games, looking back at some of these old games is like asking someone today to go and watch a black and white movie back from like the 50s, man. They just can't get past the age of them, so they don't get to appreciate some of the gems, man. And I'm a big fan of how they did this remake. It is so good. It's not, the puzzles aren't identical, the enemy placements aren't identical, the graphics are on today's level and then some. Like, they almost set a standard today. It's so good. The controls are phenomenal. Like, I love it. So if they can find a way to release a new story like Resident Evil 7 was, and then in between that they do a killer remake from the past, and then sandwich it between a new one again, and just keep doing it that way, release them staggered, I'd be all over it, man. I'd be all over a Resident Evil 3 redone like this, or a Code Veronica redone like this, or a Resident Evil 4 redone like this. Like, man, they just nailed it. I love it. And I want to see a lot of games from the past get this type of passion and work put into it and come back, man, because there are a lot of wicked IP back there that just, they were before the technology. They couldn't deliver what the dreams what they wanted to, really, because the tech wasn't there. And my God, if it isn't today, and I would love to see them come back and done right. So that really excites me. And Capcom, they've been nailing it ever since Monster Hunter. It's nice to see that company really turn it around and get on their stride again, if you will, and start releasing games that are resonating with the community. They're reviewing well. I enjoy when people generally, they look at games and they talk about the things that they liked more than the things that upset them. Very often I get upset about almost every game I'm playing, but I don't let it ruin the game. I get past it and I move on to why do I like this? Why did I buy it? And why do I continue to play it? I want to talk about that stuff. But man, Resident Evil, it's so good. I'm happy to see it come back in a big way. I hope they continue with that.
Yeah, me too. Van, I don't know. This is the first time we're actually hanging out, and you're going to come back for sure. Gifts or no gifts. Personally, next time you just come and hang out. Don't give away anything, because I want to. I enjoy your company. I think that you're again great community member. You enjoy your games. You can hear you're passionate. I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. Everyone knows that from top to bottom. And I think Capcom has hit something really like a sweet spot, if you will. Resident Evil 7 comes out, it's a winner. Resident Evil 2 comes out, it's a winner. We're hearing Resident Evil 3. I heard on the 4chan forums that Resident Evil 3 is in pre-production. And there's a lot that got to remember. They have the engine, they have the story. So we could get this as early as next year, around the same time. Resident Evil 8, on the other hand, I hear is a little further out. So I'd like to see 3 remake and follow the following year, which would be 2 years from now, 2021, January or February. Give us Resident Evil 8. Are you okay as a fan of gaming, but more specifically the Resident Evil series, to see them, I guess, tugging at the heartstrings of both fan bases, the people who like FPSs and the people who like classic over-the-shoulder Resident Evil type games?
Well, thanks for that, Boom. Honestly, what I would like to say first off is I think it's a great fan service that Capcom is doing, to be able to go back and remake some of these games. That's a huge thing for their core fan base. But I think I thought for sure today I was going to be the only one to say exactly what Don said. And I thought for sure that everybody else was going to be completely the opposite opinion of me. And I don't play a lot of older games. Like if I've already played it, I don't feel like I have to go back and play it again. And so to me, remaking a game that I already played, I don't really care to revisit it, because I want to keep that how I remember it in my brain. Is that was such an awesome game back then. I don't need to revisit it. It was awesome. But I can see on another aspect, like being a huge fan of the game, wanting to see what it would be like in a new style and new generation of gaming. So I get that. To me, it's not what I would like. I would prefer that Capcom focus on the future and changing and progressing their characters a little bit more, and just going with all new stuff to pull in new people instead of just trying to keep the old happy. Like, I want to see them just try and bring in as many new people as possible, and by bringing in new experiences and changing the genre a little bit, that's what I want to see for the future of Capcom. But hands down to them, they did an amazing job on Resident Evil 2. By what you're saying, Resident Evil 3 would be killer. But I'm all about future, so Resident Evil 8, Resident Evil 9, Resident Evil 10, whatever you want to go. I think that they need to focus on the future, and like Shady said, that's not a bad idea. Like every couple years would be probably better, if they were to go that route. And yeah, but I'm extremely excited. I loved Resident Evil 7. 7 was just amazing. I loved Resident Evil 2 back in the day. And I'm going to keep it in my brain as how good I liked it back then, instead of trying to revisit it.
If I can, Boom, if we have a minute, I'd like to share my most frightening Resident Evil story ever. If
Please,
I can.
by all means, go right ahead.
Because
It was
Mr. X, my God, he's scary.
Oh, he is frightening. But it was in Resident Evil 2, the original, on the PlayStation. And I had my boys over. There was 4 of us. And we had our home theater as loud as it could go. Like when something jumped out, the windows were rattling. This was insane. And my parents were in the room beside us, and they're building this big-ass, like, 20,000-piece puzzle. Ridiculous. So we're playing this Resident Evil, and we walked into the room where you first see the licker, and he jumps through the pane of glass, the two-way mirror.
Yes.
And as soon as we got into the room, all of us, we just knew it's like something's coming through the two-way mirror. It's so obvious it's coming through. But my inventory was full, so I couldn't pick up the little chess piece that was in the room. I tried to, and it wouldn't let me. So when I went to leave the room, we're all prepared. We're all at the edge of our seat waiting. And I just opened the door and walked out. Nothing, because I couldn't pick up the piece, but we didn't realize that. So maybe half an hour later, when I had an inventory slot, I found myself back at that room again. And we walked in, and this time, because the first time nothing jumped out, we walked in with crazy confidence, man. Just walked in, grabbed the chess piece, turned around instantly and walked out. That liquor smashed through the window. One of my buddies, he was like sitting on the carpet in front of the TV. He screamed so bloody loud, like a creature was coming out of the TV to grab him. And he was crawling back on the ground, screaming, which scared the hell out of all of us watching as well as the game. So we're all screaming. You think someone's broken into the house, going to murder someone in real life. And my parents almost died laughing in the room beside us. They thought it was the funniest thing. 4 teenage dudes hanging out, screaming like just the most frightening girls you could ever imagine, stereotype style. Man, it was so scary. We had to pause the game. Our hearts were pounding. We were yelling at each other for screaming and scaring each other as well. It was hilarious. And my God, like, it just set the tone for the rest of the game. It was relatively early. And from then on, we were constantly at the edge of our seat just in case. But man, I loved it.
Yeah, those are the, you know what, you don't really hear about the guys, everyone coming over to one house. I did that with my brother Neo Mento. We used to go, you know, the first time the dog jumped through the window in Resident Evil 1 in that hallway, we all fell back. It was like dominoes. It was hilarious. You don't really hear about stuff like that. But great opinions on everyone. Thanks for that story. That's a great classic story. I love hearing about the scares that Resident Evil has done to for people over the years. It's an amazing series. Capcom once again proving that they are still the company we thought that they were. And and considering they were on the risk of bankruptcy back in 2016, this is a big comeback. 2017, big wins. 2018, big wins. 2019, looks like they're gonna, they have Resident Evil 2, they have Devil May Cry. Onimusha released the HD version, which, by the way, I beat. Fantastic title, $20. There's rumors that they're doing the same treatment to Dino Crisis, which they're doing this to test the waters to bring those back in a newer format. I'm hoping that does happen. I love Dino Crisis. But before we move on to the next topic, and it's another fun one, a big shout out and a thank you for the generosity of the Evil Ghost with the $10 super chat. And he says, great show. Love the panel. Keep up the great works, my dudes. And yes, thank you so much. That is very kind of you. And I'm glad that you're really enjoying the content. At the end of the day, that's what I strive for. So here, let's get up to the next topic before we pick the winner of the Metro Exodus title. That'll be the end of this topic. So if you just tuned in, go to Twitter, type in hashtag Van is the man in all lower caps, and we'll be doing the drawing in just a little bit. Look, here's the thing. It's a great time to be a gamer. I don't know how else I can say that. This may be the biggest weekend in games since 2007's phenomenon. I don't know when or how in God's name I'm going to have the time to play everything. I'm knee deep in Crackdown. Listen, don't go make your own opinion, folks. Okay, it's in Game Pass. I'm not using that as an excuse. It'll save you the $60 if you were on the fence. I'm 3 hours in. I'm absolutely loving it. Don was streaming the shit out of it last night. Stayed up to midnight, played it. He said he got 20 new subs because of it. I mean, look, if it's not for you, I hear you. but there are so many games this weekend that you don't have to worry about Crackdown if it's not your bag. So I want to break down the list, and I want to get everyone's opinion of what you're playing, how the hell you're going to play it, and what you're most excited for. Okay, so here we go. Anthem is releasing this weekend for people who have EA access. You get to play a 10-hour trial, which is one of the things, the perks you get. You get to play 5 days early. I believe it's this weekend, right? Through EA Access. You have Far Cry New Dawn, which was a $40 title. If you're a Far Cry fan, I think you're going to dig this. I cannot wait to sink my teeth into this. You have Metro Exodus from 4A Studios. I know Van is a super fan of that. He is. I mean, I've seen video. It looks stunning. And of course, Crackdown 3 from Microsoft. Again, if you're a Crackdown fan, I think you're really going to dig it. I don't think it's going to let you down at all. Yes, I'm a little disappointed about the whole multiplayer situation, but again, I'm going to enjoy it for the single player campaign, which is why I bought in on it on the ground floor. Don, I want to get your opinion on this. There are a lot of games this weekend. Too many games, one would say. I always say there's never too many games. You also have the Resident Evil 2 DLC that's in there for free. There's a lot going on. What will you be playing this weekend, my friend?
It's all about the Crackdown for me.
Nice. Okay, great.
I'm a big fan of Crackdown. I've been a fan of the first one. Didn't like the second one. I openly admit it. And this was the Crackdown I've been waiting for. This is not a nostalgia or anything like that. Like, I won the next generation in Crackdown. This is it. It's not a perfect game. It is a couple things rough around the edges. But at the end of the day, it's a net positive as far as the game is concerned.
Right.
The multiplayer plays like no other multiplayer out there. Matter of fact, I haven't had a multiplayer so much fun as this is since I played Halo 5, or I would say Titanfall 1. So this is in my top 3 multiplayers of this generation, which says, well, we've had a lot, right? So there's not a lot of innovation there. So this is why it stands out. It's one of the reasons why it kind of sucks you can't invite your friends, because it's good.
Yeah.
If it wasn't any good, no one would care. That's the harsh reality. The single player, as far as the world's concerned, it's beautiful. The graphics are good.
Very alive, the world, Don.
What's that?
The world is very alive. Usually that's been a complaint. There's not a lot going on. There are people, cars. There's everything going on as you're blowing stuff up.
People are pretty much everything. Here's the thing: there's people lying. That's simply how it is, right? Like, you just got to call it how it is. Like, there's some people that are just fronting just to hate on a game. And look, there's games. Not all Microsoft games I like. State of Decay is not one of those games I like. But then again, if there's an injustice and people are talking about it, I'll have the conversation. But I don't go around constantly complaining about the game or trying to find reasons to complain about the game to try to turn it into a game that I'm not interested in the first place, right? And that's one of the sad things is I really like Crackdown, and people's excitement or not excitement for the game doesn't change my view of it, but it does affect others. I've seen people that are very stubborn in their opinion. It's like, man, I'm just going to pass it up. And then they try the multiplayer. It's like, damn, this is good. Right. And then like people get into people's heads there, and it's just unfortunate. I think it's a great game. Does it have its flaws? Yeah. Not being able to matchmake with your friends, that's a huge flaw because the multiplayer is good. Is there some smoothness that could have been done on the clamoring of the main game? Yeah, I've noticed some other couple like weird glitchy things, but at the end of the day, it's just fun to blow stuff up, and it's fun to play that game, and really no open world game plays like it. So yeah, I'm going to be spending it all week. Matter of fact, after this podcast, I think me and you are going to be playing,
yes,
right?
we're doing some co-op. Absolutely. Yeah. I cannot wait for that, dude. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. It's going to be a blast. I mean, I was going to only spend an hour last night, and then the next thing I know, 4 hours went by. I mean, that's a mark of a good game, right? Like when you're either getting tired and you're just like, oh my gosh, I have to keep going, and then next thing you know, you realize, oh, it's been 4 hours. I need to go to bed. So, what else can you say about it, right?
No, I mean, listen. Again, not every game is for every gamer. I think I've said that more times than not. Crackdown. If you're a fan, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. I'm a huge fan. I'm looking forward to this game. I have been looking forward to this game. I'm going to be playing this game like it's going out of style. I already have the fever for collecting these damn blue orbs. I'm going all over the place. I'm skipping missions. I'm actually running into things that have not popped on the map, simply looking for the blue orbs, and like, oh, you're by this area, or this jail cell is now, you have to liberate these people. And I'm actually kind of unlocking parts of the map by just going after the blue orbs. I'm finding new weapons. I'm getting bigger and stronger. I'm able to lift up cars already, which is great. I'm throwing cars at people. I'm just having so much fun with it. And you know what? Don't listen to the haters, man. Don't be a drone. Be yourself. Listen. If you don't like the game, okay, not a problem. But don't not like the game because Johnny Two Tone down the block said it sucks. Don't do that. Shady. We were talking pregame. This is going to be one of the highlights of 2019, in my opinion, with the amount of games coming out that everyone's going to be playing, and it really is a gross amount of content. What will you be sinking your teeth into this weekend?
This weekend, I will be doing Crackdown. I started myself with Crackdown on the multiplayer as soon as I had access last night, which was 10 p.m. for me in my time zone. And I mean, that very first match, it was great. Right afterwards, it was raining rare achievements on me, MVP, killing every single other team or every other guy on the team, winning the match. I think I got like 3 or 4. There was one achievement where play the whole match without dying. So as soon as it started, I just jumped up onto the top of the highest building I could and hid there and watched all the chaos and destruction below. And
that's great. I love it.
My team was getting destroyed because, I mean, obviously they were already one man down, and a goddamn good man, I might say. But so I wasn't playing. I was hiding. And a few of the guys on my team actually quit. So there was only 2 guys on my team running around and the whole team hunting them. And then they eventually quit. So it was just me now. And I had 5 guys now looking for me, and they found me. So I was running around for like the last 3 minutes from top of the building to top of the building, trying to get away from these dudes. And they were actually toppling the entire building at once. Whatever they were doing below me was knocking down the entire tower in one go. And the thing just came down. It was awesome to see. I ended up getting away with my ass intact.
Nice, dude. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it felt good. And it was almost like Battle Royale style. My pulse was pounding that last minute when I'm running and trying to break the line of sight that they kept getting on me. It was intense, man. My hands were sweating. I'm just like, what is happening? I'm not doing anything. So at the end of the match, my score is just zeros across the board. I didn't do a damn thing except for get this one achievement.
But isn't that all that matters sometimes?
It did in that match, that's for sure. But like, I'm having a great time with the multiplayer. It's a shame that it wasn't exactly as they showed in the tech demo that was painted up as Crackdown back in the day at IGN. But I mean, it is what it is. I don't understand why you can't invite your friends. That does really suck. But I refuse to hate on the entire game because of that one feature that is missing. Crackdown has never, ever, ever, ever been known for its online multiplayer. It is a campaign game that you can play co-op first, big time. Is it a bummer that that option isn't there, or that feature? Yes, absolutely it is. They've already come out and said that it is coming. I believe them. So I'm not going to hang the game over it. I refuse to. I'm having too good of a time by myself already with the randoms online. And then when my bro got home and we dove into that co-op, we loved it. The game looks great. I love the agent's voice. There was way more story this time, just in the opening cutscene, than the last 2 Crackdown games combined almost, which is a nice thing to see. And something weird, though, when we first started our game, it skipped that very first cutscene where they have the Agent Jackson giving his big his speech. We didn't get to see it, so that kind of sucks. So we played for a little bit, and then we jumped out and we started another single player one just to see if it did. And it went in and it played that cutscene and then gave more of the backstory to the lady that's helping you and everything else. So I thought that was really cool. And speaking of which, you can start 5 independent agents that you can level up. And then on top of that, you can also have 5 completely independent worlds to play in. So like you and me, Boom, can have our own world that you and I play co-op in.
Yes.
And the orbs that we
Yes,
collect
5
are
save
independent
slots.
of that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. And then Van and I can have our own independent one. And same with me and Dawn, and each one with the agents. And I can bring maybe my agent that I played with you into the one with Dawn. I really like those options. Give me the ability to start multiple games. I don't like it when a game is locked to just your profile and it's start a new game or continue. I don't like that. I want to go back and start a whole bunch of new games maybe, or start on my own level. Like, just options. Give me more options. I'm having a good time with this game. One thing that's weird with Crackdown, though, is you start off with, you're unpowered. So you feel kind of stiff and janky. You can't jump high. Your driving sucks. It's like you're driving with your feet while blindfolded. And like it sucks. But as you level up, you get better at your driving skill. It feels better. Once your agility especially started to level up, when I was about 1.5, and then as soon as I got to level 2, the gameplay felt so much better than when you first play at the very beginning. It's just it's a nice, proper tight feeling. You can jump the right height that you need to. You can do the double jump and the boost finally at that level, which opens up a lot of traversal options in the game. So I think Crackdown's weird on that, where it kind of gives you the worst feeling aspect of the game right out the gate, and you put in maybe an hour and you get used to it and it improves. So it's sort of weird that way. It doesn't put its best foot forward, if you will, right out the gate. So it's kind of funny, but I like it. I'm a big fan. Some people call me biased because of that, but like, I enjoy the game. It's a ton of fun. Game Pass, you can't go wrong with a deal like that. Everyone I know has this game. So when the option does come to invite my friends, we're going to have an absolute blast. We bring in that boom, baby.
Yeah, well, listen, again, you cannot hide the excitement you have for the game, and I'm glad to hear that, because it's actually quite refreshing to hear people actually, like Don, like myself, like Van, like you, Shady, that is excited about a title that all's happened over the last couple of weeks has been a shitstorm. So it's nice. Van, look, we know your feelings on Metro. You told us something privately. I won't air that out, but we know that you're a huge fan of the game. There's so much to play. There is so much. There's not enough time in a day. Obviously, we all have families and we all have lives, and a lot of us have jobs. It's just this many games in one shot. It's great, and I am so excited. What are you going to be playing this weekend, dude?
Man, I tell you, this is the best time ever to be a gamer right now. With
Yes,
so
sir.
many games coming out the last couple months, just so many games on the horizon. Oh my gosh! Like, how do you not just sit and just spend so many hours into any game? Like, it doesn't even matter what game it is. There's just so many to choose from. Like, if anybody right now is saying there's nothing to play, or whoever, whatever company doesn't have exclusives, obviously you don't have a life, because there is way too many games to be focusing on other than some sort of console war or whatever. With that being said, a lot of people are skipping the chance to play Metro Exodus because of the whole Epic Games launcher / Steam thing.
Ridiculous.
And it is absolutely ridiculous, because I have played Metro Exodus already, but this was a little while ago. I can't go into too many details, but all I say is I am extremely excited to play this game again, and it is amazing. It is so amazing, and I didn't even play the completed game. That's how amazing this game is. Like, it just oh my gosh, dude. Like, I feel bad for all the people that are saying they're going to skip Metro.
Shame on them. Shame on them.
They are going to be missing out for the next couple years until it comes out on Steam, because this game is groundbreaking. It's that good.
I think a lot of people are going to miss out. Like, the series of Metro, to be honest, has really been slept on, like, big time. I only recently rediscovered it, if you will, a few weeks ago, and it blew my mind. Those Reduxes are fantastic games, man. The atmosphere, the storytelling, the shooting mechanics, the horror elements, the looting, the scavenging. I just think it's such a great experience in Game Pass. If you haven't tried it, you got to check it out. this Exodus is still my most hyped game. It's my most hyped, but it is dropping in such a game-rich moment. There's just so much coming out, and I know I'm going to be playing Crackdown on Anthem with buddies. That Metro, I'm just going to wait a little bit. I'm still playing Last Light. I want to get 1,000 points in that game because it's just that damn good that I didn't want to spend all the money and then have it kind of sit there and not get the justification or not the playtime, sorry, that it truly deserves. This game looks phenomenal. I cannot wait to get my hands on it myself.
Yeah, especially if you played the first 2 games, you'll really, really appreciate this third one. They've gone over the top, above and beyond the other 2 games, and just you can tell they've spent some time and put a lot of effort in this game. And the developers are really, really passionate about it. That's why they did what they did about the whole Epic thing. You know, they were just passionate and they wanted to, you know, try and get a little bit more money out of it, and it backfired on them. You know, like they were just that's the sad part about it is people just jump to conclusions so quick.
Well, if you really look at it, when they're going to the Epic store, the way that Epic sells their games and the way they monetize everything is that the developer is going to make more money off of this, and the customer is actually paying less money for it. And all they're being asked to do is have a different launcher on their PC, not go buy a new console, not go buy a new PC, but load up a secondary launcher. The entitlement is real on this outrage.
They already have like 4 other launchers too, so it already proves that they don't care about having another launcher because they have, you know, all their other launchers.
Yeah.
So
fake outrage.
Absolutely.
Yep. So, but I highly recommend to everybody listening, check it out or watch it or watch some streams of it. It is just a freaking amazing game. I will be playing that game all weekend. I'll probably be playing Far Cry as well. Dawn, happy birthday. You officially have Far Cry New Dawn on your Xbox as of right now.
Nice, dude. Thank you. That's awesome. Congratulations, Don.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind, Van, I'd like to pick the next winner from Metro Exodus, the game that we're just talking about. Is that cool?
Let's do it.
Okay, the winner of Metro Exodus digitally is David Maldonado TL of Twitter. Congratulations, dude.
Wow.
You are
Congrats,
the
David.
third winner of today's prize pack, being graciously donated by the incredible community member known as Mr. Midlife Crisis. So thank you again for that, my friend. Let's move on to the last topic. And after this last topic, we're going to draw the winner for the big one. Activision explains why it broke up with Bungie, and apparently Destiny was not meeting our financial expectations, so they decided to cut ties. That story I pulled from not comicbook.com, from GameSpot.com, and the story reads, as part of Activision Blizzard's earnings report, the company discussed its decision to split off from Bungie on the development of the Destiny franchise. President and Chief Operating Officer Cody Johnson stated off by saying Activision Blizzard is confident that it was the right decision for both Activision Blizzard and Bungie to go separate ways, describing the breakup as a mutual, amicable agreement. Johnson said this during the investors' meeting, and here's a direct quote from him. Bungie gets to focus on the Destiny IP that they have created. We get to focus on our biggest opportunities, on our biggest franchises with our best resources. Our decision was reached with mutual agreement with Bungie to sell back the commercial rights, and for us to at least it was rooted in really the overall strategy for the company known as Activision Blizzard. We did not own the underlying Destiny IP. We do for all of our other major franchises, which we think is not just a defined is not just defined for us as an industry, he said, but also controlling the underlying IP gives us a chance to move in with new experiences and new engagement models, which also come with new revenue streams and different types of structure. Don, I don't know a lot of the business aspect of gaming. I'm a consumer. I don't know anything about development. That last statement kind of really rang deep with me, because obviously he says different engagement models. And certainly he talked about different and new revenue type streams. Obviously, he's talking about nickel and diming the consumer, and it's something they could not do with Destiny in its current form, which they tried. Are you surprised by them coming out and saying, yeah, we dumped Destiny because it wasn't reaching expectations, or they couldn't model it the way that they wanted to do it, with through microtransactions?
Well, I mean, they had a business model before Bungie signed up for them. Matter of fact, Bungie has a statement out there saying along the lines of the reason why they signed for Activision, that they proposed a business model that made sense for them. And I think at the time, I think it did. But obviously, the business models are evolving. I think we've seen since the beginning of this generation. And I think certain business models are just not doing well. The way you break down the microtransactions, or in this case, DLCs, and how the DLCs loss out other consumers. I don't think it's actually working for some of these bigger companies. So I think that's a big part of it. Also, Activision has been on this kick of trying to get themselves profitable, at least to the expectations of what their shareholders are for the first quarter. So that means anything that's dead weight, you get rid of it, right? So there has everything with the people that have been laid off. And to be honest with you, in a lot of ways, Bungie got laid off, to be to be totally frank with you. But I think Bungie was prepared in basically having their finances in order so they can actually continue on with the franchise if they choose to do so. I honestly thought they were going to drop Destiny from Bungie was going to walk away from the franchise entirely, just to get out of the contract. At least that's what I was hearing right before it all went down.
Really?
So, yeah. So, I mean, everything was at a very much conflicting thing. I think that just what we had with Activision, they just said, what are we going to do with it? It's not competition. It's we're not going to be able to profit from Destiny. It's just more money we dump into the franchise. It's someone else's problem. This is the way they kind of looked at it, and then they moved on.
Yeah, I mean, listen, again, it's good for both companies. I think it's better for Bungie. I think they're going to be able to do things their own way. I'm not surprised that they're coming out trying to make it look like it wasn't just Bungie was running for the hills. That they're, to me, it's a little damage control. If because a lot of people dislike Activision, and for very good reasons. They are not the looked upon as one of the better development or publishing houses. They're in the same league as the EAs, right? A lot of people have hate for that company. A lot of people have hate for Activision, and like I said, again, for good reason. They've done some really scumbag things. Which one of which was laying off nearly 800 people on an earnings call, where they started out with what they had record sales in 2018. I had that as another story.
That's what happens when you have too many bosses, right? Like,
yes.
That's a byproduct of that. So when you have investors, and this is why I'm being very, very careful who I bring in, right? Because everyone's got to answer to a boss, right? So let's say, hey, they make a lot of profit, but that's not what the shareholders wanted. All those bosses, big or small, wanted it to be a lot more valuable than it was, right? So in that particular case, they have to find a short-term solution so they don't piss off all the investors. And that's the thing that sucks, is like, that's people invest big into Activision. I would also say EA, because they expect big returns. So high risk, high reward, what's going on there. But also, if you're a developer, if you work at one of those companies, it's the same story. It's high risk, high reward. You got to understand, you're at one of those companies that may have to cut ties with finances at a drop of a hat. You have to be prepared before you decide to work for one of those companies. It's just how business is.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that the people got laid off. I am going to say that the industry does take care of themselves. A lot of companies have, reached out, over social media to offer jobs to positions for all the people that are affected. I don't necessarily know if they're going to be able to hire 800 new employees, but a lot of people got involved. The initiative, the coalition, people at Sony reached out. So I'm hoping that people are not going to be affected.
That fluctuation, like essential staffs, as far as all that stuff goes, will be absorbed in really quickly. If people want to stay within the game industry, they'll be absorbed back into the industry within 6 months,
Okay.
to a year. Like, and that's hard. It's that's a hard time. Don't get me wrong or anything like that. But a lot of those people weren't development talent. They were just customer service. So I mean, they may find jobs other places. I would prefer them to stay in the game industry, but it's just one of those. It sucks, like because I've been on the opposite end where I've had to let people go, and I've been on the opposite end looking for a job, right? So like, I totally get all aspects of it. I just I don't look at them as scumbags. I just look at it as just cold hard business.
Yes.
And it's cold. Trust me, it's really cold as far as that goes. But the same token, like there's brighter futures. I mean, people use Activision. People use certain companies that have bad reputations, I would say, from the gaming community. They use them as stepping stone companies. They'll work anywhere from a year to a couple of years, and they usually move on. So, and those are the upsides to it, I would say. So.
Nice. Well, listen, great. I love having you on the show, Don, because you're a gamer, right? You're a gamer at heart, but you also have a developer background. And when you break it down like that, it really is extremely interesting. It's interesting for me, for someone who has none of these backgrounds, and I'm sure it's interesting for everyone that's still listening.
Well, it's also going to hit harder for you because, like your little personal story, you already said it out loud, but you're due to medical situations, you're forced into retirement.
Yes, that is correct. Yeah,
and that sucks, right? Like, it really did.
It does. Yes.
Yeah, and obviously you're fighting the good fight, trying to make your life better. But the same token, you didn't stand still. You did something with that time, right? We're all here on this podcast, and and I think this is just the beginning of. And so you can use that as a barometer, as a bench model of. Man, it sucks to get your job, but people that have that right personality can take these situations and turn it into so much more at the end of the day. So that's the way I look at it. So
no, that's actually a really great point of view. Yeah, if you didn't know, I had a spinal cord injury from a slip and fall. I was during a blizzard of 2014 here in New York, 18 inches of snow. I didn't see the black ice. I was going in. We have something in the NYPD called no excusal, so you have to get in. People's lives don't hold up because you can't drive through the snow. You have to get there. So I slipped and fell, twisted a way that my body was not supposed to twitch. And I wound up having to have 2 rods, 6 screws, and 2 prosthetic discs put into me to hold me together. Yes, I'm still walking, but the NYPD found that to be something that they weren't. I was a risk for the department, and I had 21 years in, so I was forced to retire. At the same time, I still got my pension because I had that much time in. But like Don was saying, it sucks when someone's telling you, yeah, this is the end. I probably would still be working as a cop. It was my favorite job. I love helping people. I mean, for crying out loud, they used to call me Officer Friendly on my beat. So obviously, I consider myself a good guy. But then without that happening, Don, very, very similar to what you're saying, I would not be here today. I was thrown into a very, very unique situation. And being a gamer of my entire life of 40 plus years, I was given an opportunity to have a voice, thanks to Mooch. And he got me on Crossfire. And then thanks to the generosity of Mel from Coffee, Casuals, and Consoles, she offered me a spot on that. And that the rest is pretty much history. So it's I'm not saying I'm glad it happened, because no one ever wants to get hurt. But I also took the ball and ran with it. So that was a great segue into what we're talking about, Don. So thank you for that. But Shady, I want to get your last opinion on this. during the this business call, or the guy Johnson said that Activision Blizzard wanted to break up with Bungie because the Destiny franchise was failing to meet its commercial projections. And it's funny because both Destiny 1 and 2 sold extremely well. Who's really at fault here? Is it Bungie for not meeting the expectations, or is it Activision for putting the expectations too high?
You know what? I think it's Activision and the shareholders and just greed. Like, this is the problem with basically this system, is that if I were to profit $2 million this year, but next year I profit $1 million, shareholders look at that as $1 million loss. I didn't profit $1 million. I lost $1 million because the previous year I made 2, not 1. That's an unhealthy thought process, man. Everything can't go up and up and up and up and up forever. It can't. That is primed for failure. Something is going to fail, and it's this type of stuff where Destiny 1 made this much money, so the next one has to make more money, and how much more we don't know, but it has to make more, or it's a failure, and it's not making more enough for them. And I can understand why they might be pointing the finger or have distanced themselves, and it's because a lot of people hate Destiny, but a lot of people don't, and a lot of people love Destiny. It gets a lot of attention, and when something goes wrong in the Destiny world, when the community's upset, Activision stock was actually being affected by stuff like that. So I can understand a little bit that they're saying, hey, look, it's not making whatever projections they decided to put out there. I know Square Enix is another company that has crazy high expectations for some of their games. Like, I'm not a fan of hearing that a game sold 7 or 8 million copies and is considered a failure. It's just like, whoa, yeah. What were you guys expecting? I mean, like, welcome to reality. I don't know what to say. It does come down to greed, but I understand why they would have distanced themselves from that franchise specifically. They don't own it. They don't control it. I believe they did specify those as big ones, as they don't own that franchise at all. And they're taking a lot of heat and have a lot of fingers pointed at them for the monetization in Destiny and stuff. And if they weren't actually directly responsible for how Destiny was monetized and stuff, that would kind of suck as a company to constantly be wrapped into something that has a lot of outspoken, loud, passionate gamers constantly screaming at you for.
Well, if you look at Bungie as a historical company, right? Like, the thing is, they make content people love.
Yeah,
the problem is when they make a change, they splinter their community. They've been doing it since Halo. They do even more with Destiny. And when you have a continuous business model, what do you think is going to happen? The number is going to drop each iteration, and that's what actually happened with it. Because I think they were expecting growth each time they released the DLC, and the opposite ended up happening.
That's right.
And back to, I think, Shady's original point is, long as something's self-sustaining and continuously to be profitable, then who cares, right?
I wish that worked that way, but like it kind of doesn't. They seem like, you made $1 million this year, you better make $2 million next year, and the year after that, it better be 4, or there's hell to pay. Like, it's such an unhealthy mentality to have.
Yeah, it is, and I think that's where, if franchises can be self-sustaining, as long as they can basically output more than they're putting into it, that's a net win. It
generally is. I understand the risk of, like, I'm going to risk 80 million of my dollars and I only get back 80 million and 1. It's not worth my $80 million risk for that $1 profit. Like, I do get there is a certain number that you kind of do have to meet in order to risk that level of money. But I think that the number they're looking for is too high on some of these games, man. It's just too high. But I do sort of understand at the end of the day why this went down the way it did. I think it is best for both companies at the end of the day. And then, like, with those 800 people getting laid off, I mean, the optics on that, especially after reporting like a big financial year, it doesn't look good. It really doesn't look good at all.
It's definitely a bad look, dude, for sure.
It is. But the video game industry in general is kind of a revolving door industry. And I think a lot of the people that work in it, they know this. Like, not everyone knows the day or the hour they're going to get laid off, but there's kind of a general mentality that it's not a guaranteed thing forever. There's a very few people in the industry that get to stay where they are and do what they do for their entire career. A couple guys get to do that, but I think in general, most people do shift around a lot, and that does suck, but it's somewhat expected. And like Boom said, the industry somewhat does take care of itself. It's a growing industry. Like it is. A lot of people, a lot of studios are hiring.
They're getting better though. Like here's the thing: is like at the VR company that I put time in part time there, is like there's a mandatory time I have to be in the office, right? Because that's when they can have meetings at any given point in time. So I have to be accountable for those situations. But they allow it to be flexible. Like I put 11-hour days there, 12-hour days, and with that they allow me to be flexible. In regards, I only mandatorily have to be there for 6 hours, but I am putting the time in. They also let me work from home. They do these things that allow people to live. When you're working such long hours, they have to make it so you can live your life. And then the industry is going also more to some of these older guard talent that's out there that they don't want to lose them in the industry. They're allowing, hey, you want to work out in the middle Kentucky? Go for it. We're going to let you work remotely because you're that good. So the industry is getting better at it. They're finding more creative ways to retain the talent and things like that. So, I mean, there's always, and we're going to hear some bad story with EA down the road, I'm sure, or Ubisoft or anything like that. But keep in mind the industry is getting better. I think that's a clear message I always want to push. I know I keep interrupting every time we're talking negative about it.
Hey, listen, that's okay. This is a talk show. This is what we do.
I feel like we always let when something negative happens, which something negative has happened, we don't look at everything else the industry is doing, and the industry is getting better overall, I would say.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, didn't they also say that a big chunk of these people that were let go were in redundant positions in the publishing side or the promotion side? Like a lot of the behind the scenes office jobs that were just redundant, or they're like working on games that aren't being done. Like what job has anyone ever worked where you show up and your boss is like, we have nothing for you to do today at all, but by all means collect a paycheck? It doesn't happen. I don't like defending big business, but at the end of the day, these companies don't exist as jobs programs alone. They're not there just to hand out paychecks with nothing being done. And if they don't have actual work for these guys to do, or if there's 5 people doing the same job when it's obvious that that's not needed, I can understand why they're letting these people go. It happens in any industry.
Most people will look for a different job if that was the case, right? Like they see the writing on the wall.
You would think so, right? Like if you're sitting there for a couple weeks and literally there's nothing passing your desk asking you to work, I'd be kind of going, hey, how come I'm still getting paid, and how much longer is this going to go on for? You'd think you would start to look for stuff like that.
Exactly, especially if you have to live. So
that's right. Like I remember when Marty O'Donnell, he was let go from Bungie, and a lot of fans were just like, what are you doing? And it's like, well, he made the music. He's done his job. He's collecting a monstrously huge paycheck while doing it. Why keep him on if his job is done? Like, let him move on, go find something else, and not be drawing from your limited amount of.
The weird thing is he was Marty O'Donnell, part of Bungie.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, that was part of his contract. That's why he was able to sue him in one at the end of the day. And that, Activision's got lawyers. So when you win against Activision, that's a precedence that just doesn't happen very often in regards to that. So that's a little different situation when you're one of the
big guys,
one of the founders of the company. But that stuff happens too. Like how many times you hear about CEO being pushed out, or somebody from the big kid stable, right? So like the stuff. I mean, business is so cutthroat, and in this, there's so many dollars, so everyone's so sensitive. In regards to that, I really want little guys, not just because I fit in this category, little guys that are striving for big things. I want them to build up something stable. So, because these publishers, they used to be developers, right? Now they're publishers, right? So, like, I want to see some of these other people be able to be self-sufficient, but also put really good content that puts some of these bigger companies on notice. I think it's totally possible these days. Just not very many people are willing to take that sort of risk. So
Well, listen, real quick, guys. First of all, that was a great back and forth. Lots of fantastic information. This is what we do. This is a conversational podcast. But Van, I want to get your opinion on this before we announce the winner and we get everybody out of here. Calling Bungie the reason for Activision's so-called woes, it to me is ballsy to say the least. And I find it really funny that somehow Bungie's responsible for Bobby Kotick over promising huge profits to the investors. And I call BS. I really do. And I think it's a cop out. But what are your takes on this whole situation?
Like I agreed with a lot of the things you guys said in the past 10 minutes or so, 20 minutes. The only thing I would have to add to that would be that when they announced that they were going to be breaking up and splitting, in the back of my mind, I was like, all right, how many people are losing their jobs over this? That was the first thing I was thinking of. And it's never a good thing when you hear about job, losses. But it's really cool to see that a lot of other developers are like, hey, our doors are open, come apply with us, which is really cool. Even though they may not be developer jobs, it's cool that they're saying, hey, maybe we have a position. But with that being said, I already kind of expected that there was going to be something, and I was waiting to hear when it was, because they announced even in the letter, I mean, they said that Bungie was taking up a lot of their resources. They were taking up a lot of their resources to get the amount of stuff that they needed to get out in the time that they did. And money to time, it wasn't paying out for them because they were using a lot of their resources that they could be using elsewhere. And it wasn't showing a good enough return on Bungie's side to warrant to have to keep all those people. So I kind of get it to a degree, but also it sucks at the heart, because nobody ever wants to see any jobs lost. So I hope those people can find new positions fairly soon, and we can move on from this, and Activision and Bungie can continue doing what they do best, making money and making a good game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, listen, before we pick the winner, because we have one, I have to give two big shout outs. First of all, C-Script with the $1 super chat. Thank you very much. That is extremely kind of you. It doesn't matter whether it's $1 or $100. Every dollar counts. And the fact that you've taken the time to donate that dollar to me is greatly appreciated. Scrub Nurse with the outstanding $5 super chat. And they say, when art and finance are combined, you have these situations. Hopefully, these workers will land on their feet somewhere. Great show, Boom and gang. Thank you so much for that. And Van, if you don't mind, can I announce the winner of the big prize pack for the Division 2?
I'm extremely excited about this because the Division 2, we all played the beta last week. That thing was amazing.
It was.
And it has really, really, really good hopes for the future because of how well Ubisoft has been doing with their constant feedback and modification. The first division was the proof of that.
Yes.
That they can listen to people and modify and take things, criticism, and actually put it into play. So I have a lot of hope for the future of the division, and I'm excited for it. So yeah, let's do this. Let's see who the winner is.
The winner of the big Division 2 prize pack, and it's a big one, Country Gentleman in the chat. Dude, congratulations. I just confirmed it on Twitter. He did tweet that hashtag out. He is a big fan of the show. He's a smaller guy in the community. I say get over there and give him a follow. Country Gentleman is, in fact, a real gentleman, and he has been a big supporter of this channel. So congratulations to you. Congratulations to all four winners. All the information has been already forwarded to Van, who is going to be doling out the prizes after the show. And of course, now we have just pushed the 2.5 hour mark on this show, and that's great for a lot of reasons. One, I could talk about video games all day. Two, the chat was absolutely fantastic once again. I really do tip my hat to you guys. Each and every show you show up to, the amount of respect and just overall being good human beings is really what I look forward to. I like the idea that this is a safe space. I've been told that it's one of the more friendly chats on YouTube, and that does mean a lot to me. It really means a lot to me. Of course, my panel guys. Without you, there is no show. Thank you so much, Van. More, dude, the prize that you brought along with you, really just the generosity is outrageous. I want to start off with you. First of all, thank you for being here. I will be inviting you back. You have a fantastic ideology when it comes to gaming. I love everything that you talked about today. Again, your generosity, second to none. Please tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter, but more importantly, listen to the 2 shows that you're on.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank everybody on Twitter and on YouTube, and everybody that either follows me or plays with me on Xbox or PlayStation. Without you guys, I probably would have given up a while ago.
Yes, I saw that. I was one of the people that said, "Please, Van, don't leave."
Yeah, it's pretty rough. I mean, there's some people out there that just they purposely try to make your life a living hell, and sometimes you just get those breaking points. But I'm glad that a lot of people messaged me. They said, "Stick with it. We got your back." So I appreciate that very much. My door's always open. People can always message me, and they can find me on PlayStation and Xbox at Butcher Van, all one word, or on Twitter at Mr. Midlife Crisis.
Nice. Now, what 2 shows are you on, dude?
I'm also on Coffee Casuals and Consoles. That's Mel's show that you spoke about earlier. And then I'm also on another podcast as what they call third wheel. Basically, it's a group of there's 2 hosts, and then every week there's a new guest, and it's like a rotating wheel of guests.
Nice.
And so every month or every month and a half, I'm on that show, and basically it's like a goofy video game show where they just talk about video games and hang out and goof around, and it's nothing serious, but it's always fun.
I mean, isn't that the end of the day what it's all about? Hashtag fun. I mean,
Yep.
I mean, again, I understand people have console preferences, but at the end of the day, folks, it's just games, man. Just play games, enjoy the console you want to enjoy, and again, don't be mean to others. Van, that was great, dude. Again, once again, awesome to have you on. This is your first time. It certainly will not be your last. So Shady, you have been on this show more times than I can count on, I think, 2 hands, and I love it. I think that you bring a lot to the table. You're a passionate gamer. You will be asked to come back on in the future. You know what? Right now, I know after you leaving RDX, you're kind of just floating. You were recently on a few shows, and of course, I'm assuming that there's going to be more invitations for you to be on other shows. Right now, tell everyone where they can find you. Both on Twitter and on Xbox Live.
That's right. My personal home base is on Twitter. I am so shady at the Sesh Empire. That is one word. Just a little organization I head up on Twitter. It's all for fun and games. Don't take it all too serious. Literally, it's all games. It's all opinions. I'm just here to share how I feel. I'm not out to change anyone's mind or argue with anybody. If that ends up happening, so be it, whatever. But I'm just here to explain kind of what I like and why I like it. That's all. And hopefully figure out what it is the community likes and why they like it. Like, I'm down for some discussion. I don't need to agree. I just want to discuss. Like, I love talking games and figuring out what it is that makes you tick and talk about what it is that makes me tick. So thank you so much for that opportunity this week. I love coming on your shows, man. You have a wicked community over here. It's awesome. This is just the pinnacle, really, for me, is getting together and, like civilized individuals, just discussing why we love this industry so much. So thank you so much for coming out, everybody. Thank you so much, Boom, for having me. It has been an honor. Van, Don, I love it, man. I hope to see you guys again out there sometime soon. Take it easy. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm really bad at this. Again, especially because I'm floating around. Tomorrow afternoon, I can actually be found on the Respawn Gaming podcast on YouTube.
Nice. That's a good one. I like those guys.
So, yeah, exactly. Another positive crew, man. I'm looking forward to that. We're going to just be chilling, having a good time, and talking about what it is that brings us together here. And that starts actually at 11:15 Pacific and 2:15 Eastern time, if anyone's interested. I'll also be on the Game Dosage podcast again this Monday. And Boom, if it all goes well still, I think we might have a special with your channel again next Saturday. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yes, absolutely. Next Saturday, I'll get the announcement on that in a second. That's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be very interesting to get everyone's take. And of course, the Don. Listen, dude, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. As soon as the show is done, me and Don are jumping on, and we're going to try and save the fine citizens of the Crackdown universe in co-op. I cannot wait for that. Don, you know, like I said, your opinion really, I value it. I put it up on the top of the pedestal. I do really dig you as a friend. And you know, I really do like how you interact with the community, but you got a lot of stuff going on. More specifically, are we going to see the return of mud trucks gameplay?
I'm living a very busy life of playing Crackdown right now, so
that's probably what it's going to be.
The mud truck is on the backlogs. I will say that as of right now. Man, yeah, I'm just a gamer, right? Like at the end of the day, all developers. Just keep in mind, we're all gamers. In regards to that, we have a lot of common ground. The difference is we get to see the things behind the scene. We see how the sausage is made, per se, right?
Yes.
And you know, and I'm just here to offer that transparency to try to bridge that gap between understanding of the consumer, the gamers, right, and the developers and the publishers and all that sort of stuff. Because I really think a lot of the conflicts that exist out there really exist because at some point, developers and publishers stop talking to consumers and stop being, I would say, transparent, but just stop talking about it at a certain level. And that gap needs to be bridged. I think everyone would be a little bit happier. So that's why I do it. Boom, thanks for having me on. I'm definitely looking forward to Crackdown, and hopefully we'll probably stream. Are you up for streaming it? You want to do some
I'll stream
extra
it, sure, no
streaming
problem.
too, for those that want to watch? So
yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that's about it for me. And something's going to be in my channel soon, but Crackdown is basically slow down anything going on my YouTube channel. So, yeah, got a game, right?
Yeah. Well, listen, that's great, dude. Once again, guys, thank you so much. A big shout out to the 4 winners of today's prize packages, of course, that were donated by Mr. Midlife Crisis, also known as Van the Man. You know, again, this has been a great show. We definitely went a lot longer than I thought. Over 2.5 hours. I hope everyone enjoyed today's show. Yeah, it didn't even seem like it.
No.
We got almost every topic in, which is always great. You know what? There are topics that no one is talking about, and I'm glad to have been one of the people that decided to, you know, talk about it, because, you know, these shows, there's a lot of people that do shows. YouTube is packed with talent, you know, a lot of people have I mean, there's only so much news to talk about, but I'm glad that everyone is digging. I saw a lot of words of encouragement regarding today's, you know, topics. I'm glad everyone was digging them. I want to wish everyone a fantastic weekend. Enjoy gaming. There's a lot to enjoy. There's a lot to play. Hang out with your buddies. Again, don't shit on people for enjoying something. Please be kind to one another. And I will see you next week on the latest episode of Breakfast with Boom. Have a fantastic day, everyone. Take care.